Okay. Welcome back to Weekend Movies, where I am Jacob, who is dying, and that is Zachary, the idiot. Zachary, as I
I
get
don't know
a
if you might
drink,
win that category today.
as I get a drink, could you could you explain what we're doing?
Yes, sure, buddy. Don't cough. Um, you better.
Just go. Move on.
Welcome to part 2 of March's podcast, where we're covering everything that happened in March. If you missed it last time, we talked about Last of Us. We talked about some other stuff. Go back and watch that one. It was a great time. Not a lot of coughing in that one, but pretty good. Cocaine Bear was involved.
There's coughing in that. There is a card. There'll be a card above in case you missed part 1. Once again, there are different stories, but there might be something in that one that you might want to hear us talk about. Yeah, Zachary,
I find it odd that you clicked on part 2 and not part 1, but hey, you do you. Thanks for watching the
maybe
content anyway. Leave a like.
maybe I just enticed you better with the title. It's possible, and that's fair. For this trailer cover, for this, once again, just very quickly to explain what we're doing, because it might be a little weird in case you don't know who us are. We are Weekend Movie Bros. We're called Weekend Movie Bros because normally our content goes up on the weekend. We are movie people, and we're also bros, like real life bros, not like bros. So,
We're brothers.
like by blood. I don't know.
Man, for the short time we're away from this, you came back to part 2 with a very different vibe.
Uh-huh. Well,
Cough
I've
really
already done
threw
this.
you off, didn't you?
I've already done this for 2 hours. This is where I'm at. So essentially what we're
You're
doing
treat, ladies
is
and gentlemen.
we're covering the rest of our stories that we had planned that we grabbed from March. We also are going to be playing our fun game of approve or disapprove that I know a lot of you guys enjoy. And if you guys are listening to audio, you guys can always play along if you guys go switch over to the website version. I will mention the audio version will probably go up a little bit earlier than the website, than YouTube version, but do not worry, it will eventually be up in case you want to play along that way. If not, we'll announce the titles and everything. It's a fun time, so don't worry about it. We'll talk about it at the end. We'll also do our normal outro here in case anybody's here. What we've been watching, anything else like that will be here for anybody who is
We'll
curious.
also announce, if you did not watch Dragon Ball Evolution, we'll also be announcing the remaining 2 commentaries for the month of April, and we'll let you know what they're going to be here today as well.
And some of them, more than likely, will already be done by the time this episode goes out. So they'll be linked up in the cards as well. Since I'm really getting good at this YouTube shit for some reason, it happened. So.
And to give you guys a sneak peek, one of them made my brother kind of flabbergasted during Dragon Ball Evolution, and I can't wait to mention its name again.
It was worse than the movie I'd already watched.
It was just a title.
It might be the worst one out of the 3, and that's a hard thing to beat. We
don't know yet. We don't know yet. We've both seen Mortal Kombat. We've both seen that.
I've never seen Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Oh, you haven't?
Nope.
This makes this all the more fun.
All right. So I figured the way this could go is we could do a big review, trailer coverage or something along those lines. Jump into a smaller story that has expanding stories, cover those, and go back and do another review and go back and forth. That work for you?
Sure.
Okay, just to kind of, I don't know, maybe move things along. I really don't know.
And since Pedro started our last podcast, let's start with Pedro again.
I was just going to say that. If you came in for the last podcast, you guys already talked about the Mandalorian, how shitty it was. Let's figure out why. I would like to mention before we jump into this, I will start it off here because Zachary
is third co-host for this part
has
of the show.
Mixed opinions of this season. I've only seen the first 2 episodes, so I won't be talking to those first 2 episodes. Don't judge me. We'll be caught up before the finale. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I don't know. We'll see. That's the goal. Then while he covers episodes 3 through 4, I'm gonna bow out. He's gonna cover the whole thing. I'm not even gonna be here. I can't even hear him. That's how much I'm battling because I don't want spoilers. This is full spoiler coverage. We'll cover the first half this month. We'll cover the next half next month. We'll figure out, tune in for April for that. But let's go ahead and get started. Mandalorian episode 1 and 2. Episode 1 was basically like a big ass recap, a fun recap. I had a good time. But that's essentially what episode 1 was. A lot of people are complaining about it because it was too short, and it was just a big ass recap that I enjoyed quite a bit. Almost more than episode 2. Episode 2, however, I'll let Zachary go more in depth details of this stuff. He cares more about this than I do, just the honest truth. Is the exploration of Mandalore and getting to meet Bo-Katan, having a cool action sequence with Baby Yoda or Grogu. Who knows? I don't. Maybe you do. I don't know. And also, the whole time, just a little fun fact about Jacob's brain, I don't trust anybody. My trust issues are so bad. The whole time Bo-Katan was walking with Djarin, I just kept thinking to myself, she's going to fucking murder him. She's going to murder that baby, and she's going to murder him. And then, as the ending progresses, I'm like, oh my god, he's going to drown. And the way she was looking, I thought to myself, you know that he's just going to drop off in that suit and die. I can see it in your cold-blooded eyes. And then she saves him, and I was flabbergasted. And honestly, that's where I laid. I have not seen a minute past that. So, with that being said, I'm enjoying the first 2 episodes of Mandalorian. Life has just happened, and that's just how it goes. And I'm going to let Zachary take it over from now. He's going to talk full spoilerly with the first 4 episodes, and I, my friend, am bowing.
Hang on, no. Be here for episodes 1 and 2. Because you've seen them.
Sorry.
I want you to be here for episodes 1 and 2 because I want your opinions on certain things about these episodes. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. As I said in part 1, this is my least favorite thing on TV so far this year. I've just not been enjoying it. I've enjoyed Survivor more than Mandalorian, if that tells you anything. But there are some upsides to this. As always, this little guy, he's always an update. He's always a plus. He's always there, and I love seeing him. Stop flipping, though. Anyway.
I love the little flippy flips.
No, it was adorable at first, but now I can just clearly see him throwing a puppet in the air, and it's super annoying. Okay, my first biggest issue with Mandalorian Season 3 has been my biggest issue with most of Star Wars. Stop using the fucking volume. I'm tired of it. I'm done with it. After going from Andor to Mandor, let me tell you, it's just not been fun. Andor practically shot on sets. It looks real. It feels real. I feel like those blasters are shooting buildings. Whereas in Mandalorian, we're back in space. A lot of empty. Nothing. Just a lot of just planets who apparently are very close to each other. Good for you. Also, more Navarro? Cool. I'm happy with it. Hey, look, there's High Magistrate Grief Karga again. Oh, woohoo! So, Chapter 1. So we get back into Mandalorian. We see Grogu and Din. They're having a great time. We get a great beginning action sequence where this kid's being knighted in the water, saying, "And now I'm part of Mandalore Court." Woohoo! He gets the little helmet. It's a little too big for his head. Like, woohoo! And then they fight a dragon. Apparently, they fight these creatures quite often. I'm like, then dude, move. You keep losing children. And then Din and Grogu come in and they save everybody. And Grogu pops out of the little cockpit and goes, hello. And I go, woohoo. And then, they go back to Navarro. That's where they meet Magistrate Karga. Why are they going to Navarro? Because Din Djarin wants help to go to Mandalore. Jacob will stop me. What?
I think I've given the summary. I think we just want your opinion, not a play-by-play. We're not trying to spend another 30 minutes with Pedro. I love him, but no, it's not happening.
Okay.
What's your thoughts and opinions, Zachary?
Okay, so the first episode of Mandalorian Season 3 has my favorite moment of any episode of Mandalorian with the Anzellans. Those little guys are adorable. They're fun. No, baby. No squeezy. It's just hilarious. We can't fix it. It broke it. It's so funny. But that is my biggest issue with the first episode of this season. Why? IG-11 had a fantastic, impactful, memortic death in season 1 of Mandalorian when he sacrificed himself after becoming a sympathetic droid.
Because he needs somebody to trust. I get it. I respect it.
But he's dead. Leave him dead. Go get another droid. And that he does. And then so, So then we go fight the pirates. They try to take over a school, yada, yada, yada. This episode was boring. Bunch of recap. Not a lot happened. Then we get to episode 2, Return to Mandalore. This episode was flippin' fantastic. All the culture, all the lore of Mandalore. I thought Mandalore looked beautiful. I thought the creatures were interesting. And I love freaking Bo-Katan Kryze. I love this woman so much. Katie Sackhoff, you are a beast. You started a tradition for Star Wars characters to go from animation to live action, and you've done it so well. You continue to do it so well. I love this character, and you know, it just. I wish this season had more of an idea of what its story was. This is my biggest issue with all of Star Wars, and when it comes to shows and even movies, they have no set plan. They don't know what they want to do. But then Disney's like, no, 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 no. Wait till episode 7, and we're gonna blow your fucking mind. I'm like, well, thanks, Disney. Why couldn't that happen in episode 3 or 4 or that crappy 6? Why? Anyway. But yeah, overall, this season's been okay. Pedro Pascal's voice has been great. I know why he's not here, because he was shooting The Last of Us. Good for Pedro Pascal. He's doing great for him. Good job. But overall, Din's a boring character. He doesn't say much. He just stands there and moves.
Okay. On that note, great note. Excellent. I once again am going to disappear for just a little bit. And because I do think the audience deserves for you to just, I guess, to shit on their show just a little bit more and talk about episode 3 and 4. I really hope you do. I hope it's just better for everybody, but maybe not. And some people really like the shit posted, shit talking. So maybe it's exactly up your alley. You're welcome. I'm just going to make sure. Hold on before I pop out of here. You are muted. Can't hear a single.
Okay, now episode 3. I got all my real fun stuff out of the way because he was here. Episode 3. I love this episode. I can see him dancing down here. He's just doing his little moves. Episode 3, I loved. I thought the cursing episode was fantastic. It added more details to the cloning process that they keep talking about. This adds more to what's going on now at the end with 6 and 7, if you've been catching up. I thought that I thought 3 was fantastic. 4, what was 4? 4 was the Raptor episode. 4 was the episode where we got Ahmed Best back for the Jedi stuff with Grogu. I thought that stuff was cool. I wish they would have added more motivation to the kidnapping of the child, knowing that it was Paz Vizsla's son. I wish I would let us know at the beginning of the episode, not the end. But that's been my feelings for this season overall, is that they just keep putting us on these random adventures. And again, like I said before, they're adding it to what is a great episode 7. It makes more sense. They're adding more to Pat Bislow's story. They're adding more to the cloning stuff. It all makes sense, but I just wish it would have taken that much time. I'm excited for Wednesday, but what was the point of the journey worth it? We'll find out. But that's what I think of this season so far. Everybody's been doing really, really well. But yeah, that's Mandalorian. Let's move on to the next one. I'm waving to him to get his notification. There you go.
I am back. Don't be rude. Okay. On that note, since you
no shit talking, by the way, after you left, I did that for the sake of you.
Yay.
What did you think of Mandalorian so far, episodes 1 and 2?
Yeah, no, I said my opinion. It's good. It's fine. Nothing special. Nothing not special though. Okay, we'll go here. It's nice. It's small. It's straightforward. This is the story. I think the more funny,
back, baby. Woo-hoo.
Yeah, thank you for saying, because I was just going to continue on without saying what the actual story is. We're talking about Punisher being back in Daredevil. Born Again. I have some thoughts about that, but that's okay. We'll talk about that in a minute. I will mention to Zachary here, because I'm going to talk a little slight spoilers that could be spoilers for Daredevil Born Again, in case he wants to pull out. Not yet. Not doing it yet. Oh, God. Oh, okay. He's back. You okay? What are you doing? No. I said not yet.
Okay, how do I mute you?
Oh, I just muted my computer. You can just take off your headphones and I'll just like signal you or something.
Okay, anyway, go on. Sorry.
I'm just not when I'll tell you when. Because I think this is important to the conversation. Not really, but it's important Daredevil. So we'll talk about Punisher first. I find it very interesting that John Bernthal has been going around telling everybody who will listen to him he is not doing Punisher unless he can do his Punisher. So are we getting his Punisher, or is that paycheck just so pretty he could not pass it up? Because I've seen the last few things he's been in. They are not great. They're not the best projects. So I have a feeling it's not that we're getting his Punisher back, and I think people need to accept that. I think the paycheck was just so pretty he couldn't pass it up, which is fine if that's what gets him back in the role. Maybe he finds love again in it, and it's no shame, no problems. The
Mm-hmm.
creator has announced that this is a direct season 4, even though they said it wasn't, but it basically is. Which could mean it's very dark and brooding and the whole fucking 9 yards, or it could mean that it's not. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen Daredevil in both ways, even on Disney Plus. So like, who
We've
knows?
seen him kill people, and we've seen him do the walk of shame.
Perfect. Honestly, that's the TV show. But I actually, once again, I can't talk about that because I don't want to give anything away. There's a few speculations going around I wanted to address here. I don't know, Zachary. I know you were kind of mixed on this when it was first announced. How are you feeling about a month or so
Still,
after the announcements?
still, because it's giving me conflicting information. Like they keep saying, this Daredevil series is going to be different from the other seasons, and now they're saying it's a continuation right off of season 4, and then they, recast Kingpin's wife, even though it's direct continuity in connection with season 4. We're not getting back Foggy and Karen.
See, that's something that I will be talking about once Zachary does disappear, the Karen and Foggy
So,
situation.
so again, it's conflicting information. Am I still excited for this show? Fuck yes. This is my most anticipated Disney Plus show of all time. I can't wait for Jacob knows this. Daredevil is one of my favorite television shows of all time. I've seen that show numerous times. I know that series backwards and forwards. The final season does not get enough credit. The final fight between Fisk and Matt in his hotel in front of his wife is truly beautiful, and I love it every time. And so I am very excited for this show. However, if you're going to not be that in Disney Plus form, then stop giving me conflicting information. That's all I have to say. I'm excited but conflicted.
I will also say one would hope, and this is nothing against Daredevil or anything else or any of the Disney Plus shows, because there's quite a few of them that are going to be, our Netflix shows coming over, characters and things like that. I do hope they give them a little bit bigger of a budget. They just
Yeah.
kind of deserve it. Netflix never did it, and so I do hope that you know it's there. I know shooting in New York is really expensive and things, and they are shooting on location in New York.
Wait, they're
But
not shooting in the volume?
on
That's
that
perfectly
note,
timed chime.
I'm going to talk a little bit of speculation. You can either stick around for speculation because once then
Mm-hmm.
nothing's ever been confirmed. But if you want to go in completely blind without knowing anything based on set photos or what people believe it's based on set photos, go ahead and I'm going to mute you
Okay.
and take you out. And then once his headphones are off. All right, and now he's doing the weird shake. But like either way, the speculation that's going on right now is the fact that Karen and Foggy are not coming back. There's two things that are going around, I should say. The first one is the fact that they're not coming back. That was confirmed. But some people believe in certain set photos that you can see that the dates are around the time of the blip. So some people believe that this series will take place during the blip. We've never seen anything take place during the blip yet, like truly take place during the blip. And so that's what people believe, and that's the reason why that Karen and Foggy are not in this, at least for its first season, is because Karen and Foggy were blipped. One would assume that you would want to show that on camera and things, but this is a good way to get around some of the casting and some of the scheduling and stuff that they could for the TV show. So it's a good story plot wise. Plus, also we don't really know what it looked like during the blip during those 5 years, really. And so I think that's also fun and exciting to explore this part of the timeline. This is a part of the timeline that I would be interested in exploring more in the MCU, and so it's exciting. The other thing that's been going around is that this will be not a serialized thing. It's going to be more made for television, which would with a case by case leak. There's actually a rumor going around that it will actually premiere on television on like ABC Family or something like that, and maybe not ABC, but Fox or something along those lines, something owned by Disney, and then posted onto Disney Plus simultaneously. They've had some freeform ones as well, something along those lines. Knowing the fact that the budget could be made for TV, because they are kind of playing around with this, is a little scary. I might mention that one to Zachary because it doesn't really have any spoilers. The only other one that had spoilers was the fact that it could be set during the blip. He might not want to know that. So, all right, let's see if I can get his attention. Okay, one thing. This is not a spoiler for anything. It's not even like it is a speculation, but it's not for the TV show. I'm just curious of your opinion on this if it does happen. Okay?
Okay.
Because it would more affect like the behind the scenes. Okay? I'm
Okay.
not going to tell you exactly what they're doing because I think that part could be counted as your like your thing you don't want to hear about. But there's a rumor going around that Daredevil Born Again will be premiering on television alongside Disney Plus. That it will premiere on like ABC or Freeform as long as Disney Plus. They have done this in the past with Andor and another one. I can't remember what the other one was to try to boost viewership. Try to to I think they did it for She-Hulk as well. I think they posted like one or two episodes. It was like a special premiere type of thing that they were trying to do. It
Mm-hmm.
did, I guess, moderately okay for them to think a whole series should be that way. A lot of people are in speculation of this because of the long series being 16 episodes. It's extremely long for a first season, especially exclusively to Disney Plus. My question to you, outside of what the actual project is and things like that, and what that could entail story wise, do you
Mm-hmm.
think that would be able to affect the budget and the way they shoot things?
Budget wise, sure, but again, this brings up my issue that we talked about. This is conflicting information. This show, if they want it to be like it was on Netflix, cannot be on ABC. It cannot even be on Freeform. Like it wouldn't work. So again, that's telling me that they're trying to go in two distinctly different directions, but keeping that show that's in the same pace. Pick one. I want this show. They want this show to be good. They clearly know that they have something. They know that this is the most important Marvel series that they are going to do. And I really wish that they
I
would
wonder if like
pick the
FX or
avenue.
something would be better. I'm
See
trying to think of
that
like a TV, like wait, you could premiere it on cable. Do you want to premiere it on cable? That's still edgier type of thing.
realistically, yes, FX or I even think more of an FXX kind of thing would
Yeah,
fit
remember.
for this. Would fit for this. But again, that's still conflicting. Like you're telling you've been saying this. Even Kevin Feige's talked about it. Charlie Cox has talked about it. That this is a different Daredevil, and the Daredevil we saw in She-Hulk, if this is a continuity thing for the MCU, has to stay in continuity going into his own show. And so you've already set the boundary that this Matt's more funny, more eccentric. He's not, beating people to a bloody pulp. He's, he gets there, but he doesn't
At
take it
least
to that.
not yet. Maybe there's something that happens in this show that's
Kingpin
like
to
a.
me, Kingpin to me is the pinnacle of what this show has to be. And Hawkeye, he deflected bullets with his stomach. You can't, you
I
just
liked it.
you can't. I
I liked it.
The intimidation left when that happened. Because for me, what I liked about Vincent's Kingpin and Daredevil was that he didn't need the superpowers that Kingpin had. He was terrifying. He was scary. He was methodical. He kept you on your toes. He didn't need guys in jumpsuits as henchmen. He didn't need any of that
Yeah,
shit.
but like you can understand why that shit was brought in, though,
But that's
right?
my but yes, but that's my point. If you're going that direction with your two main leads, then that has to be the show you're going for. It would be really weird then if Punisher shows up and blows somebody to smithereens and Daredevil goes, "Well, hot diggity dog, you don't do that in this universe, buddy." It'd be weird. And then him shooting a grenade launcher at Kingpin and it deflecting off Kingpin
Well,
would be weird.
yeah, see, that would be the weird part. I do agree with that. I hope they have much more clear like reasons why
And
this is
going into a
happening.
story later with all the delays and stuff, delaying Echo only adds more to this confusion because Kingpin is a co-lead in Echo as well. And
Well,
so
Echo is
we
still supposed to come out before this, even with the delays.
right,
Um,
but still, adding on to that though, we have to look at Echo's continuity and how that show will work for Kingpin going into Daredevil.
Once
So if
again,
Echo is
for
still more on the comedy side, then I don't know.
I'd still say no. I would think Echo is probably going to be under the more serious side because Echo is Hawkeye is a great one to come off of for this. I think the obviously the representation of Kingpin is everybody's. It's their own opinion if they liked it or they didn't like it. Um, but I think if you have a good explanation of why he can do these things, even if it's like whatever it might be, I think if Marvel can come up with like a really good reason, comic book you can kind of say whatever you want and people will believe it type of thing. I mean, he's a big man with a tiny little head. It's just not Vincent D'Onofrio. So essentially, I think with a good reason why he can survive a bullet to the head, because obviously he does that and things. Because that's what it's alluded to at the end of Hawkeye for his character. Um, and I think if you still keep to the point of Hawkeye, Hawkeye is an extremely violent show without being violent, if that makes sense. Without the
Hmm.
blood, this is basically, I'd say, is probably about as far. This is Falcon Winter Soldier. Falcon Winter Soldier even went further. About as
Hmm.
far as Daredevil, I think, is willing to go. Will be willing to go. You can still kill people. You can still show blood. We've seen this.
But
Um,
you can't show Punisher level violence of what they've
No, no,
showed
you
us.
cannot show Punisher level violence. But then again, once again, the question here is John Bernthal returned for the character, or did he return for the fact that he had no other leverage? He can't be like, well, I'm doing great out here. I don't need you. Maybe not the case anymore. Or maybe for the hopeful third option, the story is just so good that he's like, I have to be a part of it, even if it's a little different. You know? Then again, are they going to teeter totter with the scale? This has been
Yeah.
happening sometimes on streaming services, especially streaming service. One episode will be TV 14, the next episode TVMA. It's a really weird thing that happens, but it's not abnormal. It is something that does happen. It's weird, but it is something. So maybe that's what they're going to do. Maybe they're going to
But
teeter totter with the scale.
but to me, that also adds another complication point in that then maybe the Punisher's only in one episode that's super bloody, super violent,
Yeah.
and then we transition to the next episode and it completely again he's off filter and it's back to being how it is the rest of the series. And if that's the case, then
I
why
mean,
do
I
it?
just really feel like we just really need to figure out where the tone's at for it.
Yes,
I think that's the most important thing.
I
Is
think
this
at
a
Comic Con,
joking, comic-y type of thing? Where does it fit in? It's very possible. Captain America, the entire realm of Captain America, Hawkeye, Scarlett Johansson, no, or Black Widow, is the perfect realm for Daredevil to be in,
yes,
only because of the simple fact that's kind of where his TV show lied. Obviously, he runs around more with Spider-Man, things like that, but Spider-Man in the MCU does not, in my opinion, fit really well with
no,
Daredevil for Netflix.
no, it
I would
does
say,
not.
No Way Home was quite brutal. I would definitely say that it was more
Hmm.
brutal than the previous ones. But the MCU has always been brutal. It just hasn't been bloody. So
No,
if I wonder if that's going to be like oh there's no blood in this, I'm not going to watch it, or is it more like because the Punisher's back, there's expectations to withhold.
I think that's the show's biggest issue in that announcing that Bernthal's coming back. It sets that expectation of, well, if Punisher's going to be there, then this is going to go off the rails and be super violent. And I think Disney and more importantly Feige need to get in front of this and say, no, 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 no. Bernthal's back, but we're doing something different with his Punisher. So I really think at Comic Con this year, they need to have a sit down with their audience and say, okay, listen, we're going to give you a full kind of like, not the rundown of the show, but give you guys like what the tone is, what you can expect from these characters, who's coming back, who are we recasting, that kind of thing. That way, everybody can finally know what Daredevil is going to be, and we can kind of set our expectations then moving into the show when it comes out. Because
Or,
I'm,
they might just wait until they can release a teaser for it and be like, or they might be like going into Echo, being like, this is what you can expect. The tone here, the type of thing. I have a very strong feeling, based on previous projects and stuff, the tone is going to be under the lines of Black Widow, Hawkeye. I feel like Hawkeye is going to be on the lines of Echo. Serious subject matters handled with slight comedy. Because obviously, it's MCU. You can't get away from it. It has to be there. But I don't think it's going to be like walls, you know, balls deep into comedy like She-Hulk is, where almost
no.
every other line was like a comedic like joke type of thing.
Do
So I think it's
you
gonna be more
think
of those lines.
do you think Secret Invasion could kind of give us an idea of what we can expect from Daredevil,
I
tone
think Secret
wise?
Invasion is a great one as well because Secret Invasion looks like it possibly could be kind of funny in certain cases,
Mm-hmm.
but also extremely serious, especially to see how far they go. I think Secret
Yeah.
Invasion is a good one to figure out how far are you willing to go. Um,
Mm-hmm.
in this case, because you're dealing with torture and things and those lines, really deep and dark. But then I think back to Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Falcon and Winter Soldier went so much further than anybody was prepared for. I mean, the
No,
final
I
like 3 episodes of that are brutal, like
mm-hmm.
brutal.
See. I wish Moon Knight could have been in this conversation because I think if Moon Knight would
Moon
have set
Knight
its tone,
had parts of it that were a part of this
yes,
conversation, but they were
but
not enough.
but that's the tone I worry for is the tone of Moon Knight, where they try to do the overcomplicated seriousness while adding in the comedic tone to it. Where I think in Moon Knight, minus the episode where we go back and go through Mark Spector's life, the majority of that show is very high on the comedic aspect of it,
Hmm.
and the more serious tone of the show I think is brought down a little bit more.
Great binge, by the
And
way.
it's a great binge minus the finale. I do not like the finale of that show.
I really enjoyed the
Um,
finale with the binge.
did you?
Yeah,
It still fell out of place to me when I
on
watched it.
second rewatch, I really enjoyed it more.
The tone I
Not
kind of
overall,
want
but
the
sorry.
tone I want Daredevil to hit, and this is so weird to say this, is Werewolf by Night.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or let's look at Werewolf by Night. Werewolf by Night, I'm pretty sure was. Let me double check. I mean, it did. It was PG-13, so it's gonna fall under the TV-14 rating in Werewolf of the things. So if they can get away with all of that, it was black and white. That's important to remember when thinking about this. But
Yeah.
they went pretty far with Werewolf by Night.
Hmm.
Dismemberments, you know, blood on screen. Even the blood was red. Like I mean, they had like little motifs and stuff throughout. I think Werewolf by Night is a great example, and I think that's probably what more this
I think
side that we're seeing is kind of
that would
I
be
think
the tone I
where
would want
Daredevil
Daredevil
might
to
be.
hit for sure. That would
And
definitely be the tone.
as long as it's TV-14, it's still appropriate for TV. You can still air it on normal television.
I
Because
agree.
I mean, medical dramas are different from like this, but Grey's Anatomy is extremely bloody and brutal, and it's TV-14. As a
I
late
really
time period, you do have to play it at like 9 p.m. But
yeah.
you know. But I would have to wonder if it does air for television, does that mean we're going to have more consistent times? Are we looking at a 9 to 9:30 time slot or a 9 to 10 time slot with commercials? Because we're looking for a 9 to 10 slot, that means it's about 43 minutes, 43 times 16. That's a pretty good length for a television show
Hmm.
overall, and might actually work out for us as a benefactor of like time length for
Why
Disney Plus shows.
why do you think of all their shows Marvel
I
related,
can't
this is the one that they picked?
entirely tell you that answer. That, like I said, a part of this I can talk to you about. A part of this, just in case it changes or whatever, I don't want to tell you it because it's all speculation. This entire thing is in rumor form.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so the other thing I have is also in rumor form, but it could change the entire look that you look at Daredevil Born Again entirely based on one name, like one answer I give you. And so I don't want to do that because they might not even do this and it might be completely different and who
Right.
knows. So I don't want you to have that in your face and you'd be like, oh, because I have a feeling you're gonna be like, oh, that's horrible. So
Mm-hmm.
I want you to go in with the
I th-
expectations that you have.
I think if we look at Werewolf by Night, if they can come to Comic Con and kind of give us an idea of what the show's going to be, and we also look at Blade, I think we'll find. I think we'll kind of find like what our intermittent is going to be for Daredevil. We look at all three of those ideas.
The only difference, I once again, that's why I keep bringing up the other side of things. The only difference I have for you is that it is a part of their horror section. These supernatural TV shows, Moon Knight, it's also supposed to be a part of that section. Moon Knight once again had moments where it kind of went there, but didn't go fully there. Um, so that's the only thing that could throw this off, like trying to
Mm-hmm.
have that comparison there, only because you're trying to aim for a different audience and like let's say Daredevil. I would also wonder, She-Hulk did not do very well.
Mm-mm.
The episode Daredevil did very well with him in it.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's what people are going to be expecting who have never seen the Netflix show, who opted not to, if that's the Daredevil they're expecting. Then you get a different Daredevil, how will that go down?
Yeah.
And
Again,
once
this is
again, I
the
have a somewhat an idea if the rumors are true, how that could go down. But once again, don't want to mention it in case the rumors are not true, but it is something to keep in mind when thinking about this character. All right,
mhm.
let's move on over to a review. We'll do our next movie review for Scream 6. If you guys watched the last part, this is my favorite movie of the year. But because it's my favorite movie of the year, I go last. Zachary, I want to know about your experience of seeing Scream 6. You saw it like 2 weeks ago. So let me know how you're feeling 2 weeks in to seeing this movie. Are you feeling the same? Where are
I
you
haven't
landed?
stopped thinking about this movie. There are
That's what I thought.
there are moments in this film that subvert my expectation of the movie.
Full
There is a
spoilers, by the way.
certain full spoilers. The entirety of the twist at the end. Now, I told this to Jacob when we got out. I did not like the twist for the movie. It felt like something that if you were paying attention, you could have saw coming. But I think they hit it very well, and it did throw me off. But but besides that, the to me, this series has used its legacy characters. I think the best. I think of any franchise going there currently right now. I really do. I think they've shown every character whether the actor or actress doesn't care what's going on in their movies anymore. I think that Scream has shown its legacy characters justice. They have maintained what those characters are, and I think it shows in these movies, past two especially. But it's all about the new characters. I think Melissa is absolutely fantastic in this movie. She to know that's the same girl from In the Heights boggles my mind because that is not they are so different people. Um, and what else can you say about Jenna Ortega? That little girl is just all over Hollywood. She's everywhere. Will she end up as a Marvel girl or a DC girl? I'm going on the more side of the DC girl thing. That's where I'm thinking she's gonna go. I think
She's been
she make a
more fan
great.
casted in Marvel than she has
I
been in
think she make a
DC.
great Raven. That's
She
why I
has been
think she'd be
actually
great.
mostly fan casted as Rogue here recently. Is the big one.
So Raven or Rogue,
Yeah.
the two characters with issues, fits Jenna Ortega perfectly. um, but I think this is my favorite Scream because Ghostface gets to shine. It's mainly always been about Sydney versus Ghostface, and obviously Sid takes the majority of the screen time, and Ghostface pops up when he needs to pop up. What I love about this movie is that Ghostface feels like the main character of the movie, subsidentally, and that there's a lot more screen time with the mask, and it's nice to see. one of these staple horror franchises let their horror character shine like Jason would or Freddy would or Michael would in their movies. You really don't get that with Ghostface because Sydney honestly took more of the sublight from Ghostface because it became her series after a certain point. So it's nice to see Ghostface get that center stage. I think the entire side character cast is fantastic. The twins again are a highlight from Screen Five. Um, this is my favorite version of Gale is in this movie. I thought Courtney Cox her scene in this movie is just so 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 well done. I thought Hayden Panettiere, given what she was given, I thought was really good in the movie. But you can definitely tell she's been away from acting for a while, and that's not a bad thing. People had the same criticisms for when Carrie Fisher came back for Force Awakens, but I thought she did a fantastic job in the movie. I really really liked her. I thought the kills were awesome, but I think the thing that really put this movie over the edge for me, that really subsided as my second favorite film this year, was the opening. I think the opening completely subverted your expectations going in for the typical girl kill, and no, it completely flips it on you, and you don't see it coming. So well done. So I can't say enough good things about Scream 6. This gets a 4.5 out of 5 for me.
Cool. Cool.
Just away.
Scream 6 is a special film. I knew it was special when they announced it. I do like telling the story because I think it's fun. So I'm going to tell the same story. Zachary's already heard this story. Anybody I see this movie hears the story. Screen Rant, who is not really known for posting, they publish as soon as they find something, is what they're known for. And that can give you, like we talked about that in the beginning of the last podcast. The reason why we're doing it monthly is because we want the entire idea. We want the entire scope of the thing. So that's important. And Screen Rant's not that. Screen Rant got a copy of one of the original scripts. And the original script, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. It's going to, I learned some things. Before I do that, let me quickly explain to you what Scream 6 is about. Scream 6 follows our main cast of characters from Scream 5, outside of Nev and all of them, into the new Big Apple, where they're hunted down again by Ghostface, who is more brutal, more vicious, out for a deeply, deeply, badly rooted vengeance, and by far one of the most fucked up twist endings that they've had in a long time. Even though they've done something similar to this, the idea of a family was something else, I tell you.
The last time they did the family angle was like what, Scream 3 or
Scream
Scream
2.
2?
It was actually, technically, they've all been family angles, but the killer family angle was Scream 2.
Timothy Oliphant, right, was
No,
and
it's
his
it's
mom?
he was one of them, but it's Billy Lewis's mother. She was one
Yeah.
of the killers. Either way. And there's parts of this movie, once again, I've seen it now 3 times, and I will see it many, 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 many more times. I have a feeling it's going to be playing nonstop for at least the first month that I get it, just because I loved it so
It's this
much.
year's Black Widow.
It is. It is. I always have one. I have one that I see on constant, and it's never, it's always one that ends up being my top 10 of the year. And normally people are like, why is that there? And I'm just like, you just had to be there. Type of thing. I just really loved Sam as a character. I really loved the sister bonding. I love the slow moments. That's really weird for a Scream movie to have slow moments where it's not just all about, oh my god, who's going to die next? Who's the next, what's the next big setup? No, I like the small moments in like the bedroom where Tara almost gets kissed and she's just laying there and she's smiling and they have these like little happy moments.
Mm-hmm.
I think without me reading so much that I do and watching so many of these that I do, I think seeing the fact, once again, this is full spoilers for anybody out there who's not seen it yet. I'm going to be talking about the killers. Seeing that Quinn surviving, if I didn't know the rules of Ghostface and how many times it's happened before in situations like this, I probably wouldn't have suspected it. Like, I would feel like a newcomer wouldn't suspect it. The one that did catch me off guard, if he was a better actor, would have been Ethan. But the actor they chose was a little too forthtelling. And I'm going to blame that on the actor, not on the writing, because they did write that character in a way that you shouldn't be able to tell that he's going to pop up underneath that mask. Quinn, if you know the rules, you might know. And then once again, I'm going to talk about the detective. The actor who we've seen a bunch, I just don't think he can handle villain really well. And so I do think there's a turning point in the movie where you kind of like, yeah, it's him. Nothing against it though, because the reveal of it, some people like, I really liked, other people don't like. The fact that it's like a fucked up family, it's just so fascinating to me that I didn't mind it. I really liked it. I also think the setup was really nice for the final act. The ladder scene, even on rewatch, is still very intense and very scary
That's
and sad.
terrifying.
The acting in
Oh,
that scene is top
it's,
notch, like top notch. You really do feel
what's
the
the
pain.
what's the sister's name? The twin sister's name? What's her name?
I just know her real name. Mindy
She's in Yellow
is,
Jackets.
yeah, Yasmin is her real name, but Mindy is her
She
name.
kills it in that scene.
It's phenomenal. And the brutality, I can't get over it. Sam goes all murdery. I want a whole movie of it. I will pay to see a whole movie of her murder people. Just because I just I fucking love it. And see, that brings up the next big question that I always had for Scream, that I have Scream for 7. Are we following the killer? That's a nice way to divert expectations. Going around and seeing the kills happen, like, in your face, kind of like a manic way. If you know what that movie is, it's a horror film. Or are we playing along Jenna, who was originally supposed to be the new Sid? That's who they had written it for, which Jenna Ortega would be the new Sydney, where she doesn't realize her sister is murdering everybody. Because I think that's obviously the only way to go forward. And I would say for this group of characters, I would say Scream 7 will probably be the closing
Their final.
chapter. I don't know if they would come back again. It might be the closing chapter of these movies. And I don't know how necessarily mad I'll be. Maybe in 10 more years, they'll come back and they'll be like, we're ready to do it again. And once again, I don't know how mad I would be by that decision. I also don't know if they'd try a TV show again with the actual Scream brand instead of trying to, do their own thing. Maybe they have lived past this and they're ready to move on to other things. There's a lot more things you can do with Scream. It's a very popular franchise, shown by the box office. This is the best doing one in the entire series, which means that Scream 6 is at the height of the franchise at the moment, kind of like John Wick, Chapter 4, which we're going to talk about here soon. Um, yeah, it's phenomenal. I love it. I wasn't sure if I loved it. I mean, I walked out thinking this is fucking phenomenal. I can't wait to watch this again. But I wanted to see it 2 more times to really make sure that I'm going into this thinking this is everything.
Mm-hmm.
And a ranking for a Scream movie, it is number 2. That's how good it is. The opening, I definitely do agree. Just like Scream 5, changed the expectations of terror living. This one, the reveal of that, which I don't want to ruin here. I know I ruined kind of the killers, but like the opening, I feel like is even better than the actual reveal of the killers, in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion. It's more shocking. And
Because
then,
again, it subverts expectations. You don't expect what happens.
that actual opening line, like the real opening line that starts the movie,
Mm-hmm.
who gives a fuck about movies, is so perfect that it made my sister look at me and say, "What the fuck?" Because that's not Ghostface, and that's my favorite part about this movie is that it's so true to Scream without being true at all,
It's
and
nice.
that's how you elevate something past the point. And also, once again, we've been talking about this for a long time. Playing with a serial killer character like they do with Sam here, it's just fascinating. And I could watch 4 more movies of it if they're willing to do it. The We'll talk about next month, but she got a deal. They got a deal together, so they might be busy. It might be a little bit longer in between movies this time around if they actually do come back for it.
You know where she's going to be
Scream,
showing up next?
yes, I do. That's what I'm
A
talking about.
Universal monster movie. How dope is that?
Yep.
That's
All right.
really cool.
We'll see how well it does. I mean, they announced it on the height of Renfield to try to get people excited for Renfield since they're doing these like weird Universal monster movies now because the Mummy didn't do well. They're all connected somehow. I don't know how, but
Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I love the fact that they're doing it this way so nonchalantly. Like they're not like, here it is, here's the big universe. I like that they're doing it this way. It's different, it's wacky, it's weird. And the people who want to go watch them now are going to be the niche audience, and they're going to appreciate it. You know what?
It's just really weird because like the Invisible Man is in the same universe as this, and I just don't. It's
It's
just weird.
nuts.
It's weird. Obviously that's a 10. It was not a 10 initially. I won't lie, and I will. I do know there's problems. I can see the faults, but I love it so much that sometimes you don't care. And this just happens to be one of those times where I personally just don't care. The best Scream movie can without can go above those faults. Scream 4 for me is the same way. Scream 6 is the same way. Not every Scream movie can. There are 3 of those that do not. And there's 3 of those that do. And that's perfectly fine because not every movie is perfect. Even the best movies, the masterpieces, still have something wrong with them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I want to talk about Clayface is coming because it's a short, nice, easy story.
You keep saying that, Jake.
I know. It's because I keep hoping it's for it to be true. So, Clayface, Zachary didn't know what this is. I had mentioned, and so I was like, okay, let's do it. Clayface is popping up possibly in 2 places in the DCEU or DCU, whatever the fuck they're calling it nowadays.
DCU.
Cool.
Just letting you know, that's what it's the DCU.
So the first place that was announced via pitch type of thing. These are speculation, but I just find it funny that Clayface popped up in 2 locations within the same day for 2 different projects. I just like Clayface is not that great of a character. He shouldn't be anywhere near these, but we're going to talk about that anyways. Clayface, Mike Flanagan, who I adore and love, great filmmaker and phenomenal, whatever, has said that he would like to make a film, a whole entire dedicated film. Yes, you heard me correct, on Clayface. That's by far one of the worst things I've heard all year. And then, hold on.
I will fight you.
And then,
I will fight you.
And then, Batman Part 2 has also somewhat seemingly possibly announced that Clayface will be one of the villains that will be popping up in that movie as well. That's obviously in speculation because of the writing and everything else.
Yeah.
But there was something on the line. They had both popped up in both mediums.
Okay, so since I'm just learning about this, here's my immediate reaction to both.
Yeah,
yes.
Of course. Okay.
Yes to both. So okay. I will start with the one where I think we both agree on, which is the Batman Part 2. My idea for the Batman Part 2 is that Mr. Freeze is the main villain of Batman Part 2 because of how Gotham is left at the end of the Batman. I think Clayface would be a great sub-villain for that movie, much like how Penguin was to Riddler. I think Clayface would be a great sub-character to Mr. Freeze because he's clay, he's mud, whereas Mr. Freeze is the ice. I think it'd be a great contradiction between the 2 of them. And I think it'd be interesting to see what they do with a more wacky-esque villain for Matt Reeves' universe. I think he can do it, though. I have all the faith in Matt Reeves to do it. However, I will fight you for Mike Flanagan's Clayface movie. This sounds ingenious. The story of Clayface is so sad, so endearing. You can really get to know this guy. He's an actor. He just wants to live the role of a lifetime. And then life looks at him and makes him a piece of crap, basically. And so then he has to work his way around and not only be an actor for himself, but an actor for the world. He has to show the world that he is not just a piece of mud, but he's also an aspiring actor, a thetorian. And it's a beautiful thing. You make this like a Frankenstein mishmash, it would be fucking awesome.
Okay, I kind of see where you're going with this, and I still very much disagree. I disagree on both points, so when we counter-argument both those, not like in a mean way, but just in like a journalistic way. Okay, first one, Clayface. The only time I've ever known Clayface, I don't read Clayface. I don't read things with Clayface in them. I actually try to avoid them. Actually, I see him on the cover, and I run the other way. That's kind of where I'm at with Clayface. Okay, but the only type of Clayface that I know is the one where he sat down at a chair so James Gunn could sit his nice little ass on in the HBO Max series Harley Quinn, and that's it. That's the only thing I know. Is that I remember him being like, his ass smells nice. How could that get a fuck is that gonna movie? Okay, is that gonna be the movie? He murdered like
Our
Tommy Lee
first
Jones.
official spit take of film. Excuse me.
He murdered Tommy Lee Jones just to get nasty, just so he could sniff James Gunn's
Excuse
ass,
me.
which is kind of funny in the long run of things, but that was before he took over. And for so that's the first movie. Like I just can't see it. Okay, I just can't. I'm sorry. I get your
Okay.
point. I think the Frankenstein thing kind of cool, but like not cool enough to be a movie. Maybe a short film, not a movie. Definitely make a short film. 2 minutes tops, low budget. Use the actual clay. Stop motion.
It's
I
like
see
grabbing
it
a
now.
drink.
Okay? But the Batman Part 2, he should just be an Arkham villain. He's nothing. I'm not trying to make you chill.
Excuse
Okay. That was a lot. Sorry, listeners out there.
me.
ASMR, not welcome. No, like I just
What's
don't
with you and
think
my bodily functions?
I just don't think Clayface is
Dumb
important
water.
enough to get a bigger role than just being Clay in the back of a cell. And that's literally it. That's all I got for you.
Next story, please.
Sure thing. Because we have so many other things, I'm just gonna jump up here and we can talk about Liv Tyler and we can talk about a little bit about the Captain America stuff as well. Changing, over.
Sure.
Sure.
Ugh.
That would be do you want to start this off?
Yeah.
Since you've actually
Well,
seen the movie that she's a part of? I have. It was just once, and it was in 40 parts because I kept pausing it because that was horrible.
oh, well, thanks for telling me that. That'll be a commentary down the line for sure. Um,
No, it won't.
yes, it will.
I'll be sick every day.
Oh, too bad. I'll make you watch it anyway.
Continue
Any-
onwards.
anyway, yes, Liv Tyler is coming back to the MCU as Betty Ross, and I'm so happy. It's fine. I just find it so funny that everybody made it back from the Incredible Hulk except the Incredible Hulk, and I find that just hilarious. Um, they are completing storylines from a movie that won't involve the main lead. That's just funny to me.
I mean, if we're gonna be honest, it's actually kind of sad. Not the Edward Norton shit. That was his choice. But the fact that she's coming back and she won't get to play with her like
I
on-screen
know.
dad in that movie.
That's one thing that aggravates me about the situation. She should have come back sooner. But here's my thing when it involves all this. Liv Tyler's not coming back in the Hulk movie. She's not even coming back in She-Hulk. She's coming back in Captain America 4, where the main villain of Captain America 4 is the leader, where Thunderbolt Ross is trying to take care of the Thunderbolts with Captain America while trying to fight the leader. And from what we still know, Bruce Banner's not in this movie. So they're trying to make an Incredible Hulk 2 without the Hulk. And
No,
put
okay.
Sam right there.
So let's talk about this, Zachary, because you are opening this up to a discussion that could contain spoilers. Just buckle up, buddy. Okay? Let's talk about this. It's going through major rewrites right now, so who the fuck knows? I feel really bad for every actor on a set right now because of the strike that's about to happen. We'll see how MC movies turn out in the future. It might turn out like a good old, what's that movie? The really bad Domino 7 movie? Quantum Asylum? Who was that? What is it? Don't have any. There you go.
That sounds like a Batman Beyond spinoff.
Well, it is Asylum. It could turn out like a lot of that where the actors are writing for them because they literally don't have a writer on set because everybody's on strike.
Revenge of the Fallen, the second Transformers movie, got hit really hard with this wire strike back in 2009.
Yeah. We're about to go through another one. It's a very real thing. Once it actually starts to make motion, we'll talk about it here on the podcast. But either way, at this very moment in time, the original script was covering 3 different parts of the MCU, which is why they decided to rewrite it for obvious reasons.
Good job.
We have, Sam actually just becoming Captain America fully.
Which should be the movie.
Yeah, it should be, but it's not. And then we have the Hulks. The Hulks was already kind of rewritten a little bit with She-Hulk because She-Hulk was supposed to end with the serum getting out, like an actual serum for everybody to become Hulks. And that was actually supposed to be like the big plot line of Captain America New World Order, which is so interesting. I don't understand how Captain America is supposed to fight Red Hulk, but like, Hulk is always a great assist anywhere. Mark Ruffalo just likes to throw himself into things, and it's fun. Mark Ruffalo has been since confirmed in rumors that he's in this movie. Every other Hulk is in this movie, at least in the script that was going around. So I don't understand. I don't see
So
why
wait,
he
what you're
wouldn't.
telling me was that Red Hulk, Scar, She-Hulk, and Hulk, and just call us Incredible Hulk 2.
They can't.
What?
They logically, they physically can't do
This
it.
is stupid.
Then we also have, you know, the president, Harrison Ford. I want to know that conversation. I want to be there for that conversation. How does President Ross happen? Let me know. Let me know. I really hate the fact that Harrison Ford is taking over this role. I think he's a good recasting for I can't think of his
I think he'll
name,
make a great Ross.
but I feel like by the end of the time, the other actor, I can't think of his name, so sorry, rest in peace, played him, especially his last role being in Black Widow and stuff. I think it was so understated and so haunting because of it that I think Harrison Ford's a little too splashy for me for this role. But then again, Harrison Ford's also turning red. So what the fuck do I know? At least he did in the original script. So what the fuck do we all know?
Here's my thing still. It's still my thing.
We
How the
also
fuck
do
did they get
know.
Harrison Ford?
Well, maybe he was bored. Um, we also do know, based on set photos, that she is dressed like she is going to a funeral. So I do have to wonder what that means. Could it be that we lose another Avenger? We all watched that What If episode. We all know how he explodes. And she was in that episode. Liv Tyler came back to voice Betty Ross in What If. Just one step
Um,
closer.
listen, if we now have a son of the Hulk, we have a cousin of the Hulk. Do we really need the Hulk?
Honestly, just saying. I mean, we could actually blow up Scar. I actually would like that better.
I
Can
would
we
be
make a
really okay
petition?
with that.
Yeah, I think we all will be. Especially now she's coming back. You give him a kid after? What? Now we're gonna have weird like children parents? Like,
No,
oh, I'm sorry, can I have custody on Tuesday? You can have custody on Thursday? Like,
no,
what the fuck?
the Scar thing really pisses me off.
Oh,
And
we're not
not
gonna get
because
into it.
it's no, not because of Scar, because of what they set up in Age of Ultron. It makes no sense.
Either way, it should have been Hulkling. That's what it should have been. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. Liv Tyler is back. I'm happy for her. She's a
So am
phenomenal
I.
actress. She's good.
And
She
she's
does her
great as Betty Ross.
well. I wouldn't go that far. That movie was trash,
No, she
but
really is. Her, whether you give shit to Norton or not, her and Norton had really good chemistry, and she really grounded him in the moments where he needed to be grounded.
yeah, but Edward Norton
She
is not here, so maybe
and
that's the reason why. Do you think the problem being is the fact
how
that they wanted her back, but they have horrible chemistry?
how fucking nuts. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. This could be nuts. Nuts. What if I cannot understate this enough. I don't know anything. I haven't talked to anybody. I don't even know he's that reliable to get this information. But this could be truly nuts. What if the funeral is for Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner? What if it is? And then during the movie, because we are in the multiversal saga, Edward Norton's Bruce Banner shows back up. And that's the one we deal with.
No.
Think about that for a second. He left the project so mad, so insecure, done with Marvel. What if they bring back everybody from his movie and he's like, you know what? Maybe I was in the wrong. Maybe I'll give this one more shot. And it took Liv Tyler and Kevin Feige to go talk to him. I'm just saying.
On that note of
In a
craziness,
Captain America movie.
yeah, that's the problem.
That's the problem, though.
Like, can't Sam just have one movie and then you can take it over. Like you could, like Captain America. At least like Chris Evans had one movie before he had the assist. And you can't even say Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which does turn into Captain America and the Winter Soldier. It's still his movie because there is the Winter Soldier. You still didn't think Sam could just carry his own there. And you still don't think Sam can carry his own here.
You made the title Captain America and the Winter Soldier. What's the most famous Marvel movie? Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
The little racist. Either way, moving on. We are going to talk about more Marvel. I figured we could just stay in the realm of Disney. There's a few things to go over here. Some bad, some good. Mostly bad, but mostly good.
Mostly bad.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to talk about massive Marvel delays. If you guys did not know, let me just cover it real fast for you because it's real fun and easy. Bob Igor came back, and he came back with a fucking vengeance. He was like, this shit is damn the pooper. I left it at the highest of the heights that I could leave it.
This shit's down the pooper.
I left it at the biggest heights that I could leave it. It's the #1 company, and now we're failing the stock market.
Paramount's been more successful than you.
He knew problems were abound, and we're going to talk about how he decided to fix those problems. Some good, some bad. Yeah, you win some, you lose some. The biggest thing, one of the bigger things, I should say, bigger things were to come. But one of the big things that came out of this, was the fact that that Marvel, who was on full track to release 4 movies this year, 3 movies next year, 2, 3 Disney Plus shows, 4 next year, crazy amount of content. He was like, fuck that, no.
He looked at Kevin Feige and said, listen, my guy, I don't know what JPEG did to you, but we need to back this up just a little for the sake of your fans and for your sanity.
He looked at JPEG. No, he looked at Feige, sorry. I'm a little tired, as you guys can tell. He looked at Feige and he was like, dude, if you don't pull the fucking brakes, I'm gonna fire your ass. And you know what? Kevin Feige is like, I like my job. I'm happy with where I am. That's fine. If you really think this is a problem, well then my God, maybe it's a problem. And he pulled the fucking brakes. Now, okay, the only confirmed Disney Plus TV show to be coming out this entire year is Secret Invasion. We were supposed to be getting 3 of these things, and now there's only 1.
Yeah, it was Secret Invasion, Loki, and Ironheart, right?
It was either Ironheart or Echo. I can't remember which one.
I think it was Ironheart.
Very possible. We were supposed to be getting 3. 2 of those are done. 1 of those is about to be done, almost ready to go, and they're just going to be sitting on that shit. And then we move over to the movies. We're supposed to be getting 4 of those little babies this year. Nope. We're only getting 3. And 1 moving from July to November. Yeah, that's a pretty big jump if you ask me. Because of reshoots. Massive reshoots. Not even small little ass reshoots. Massive fucking reshoots. That's not good. This is the 5th time. That's also not good. But maybe it's fine. Maybe it's not. It's probably not. The only thing I have some guidance in, because he couldn't touch, is maybe Secret Invasion. But maybe I don't, because now I'm getting a little nervous as I talk about it right now, because what if it's absolutely horrible? Oh, God.
And then Fantastic Four. You don't know?
I don't think I know. Maybe I do know.
It's being completely rewritten by the Avatar 2 writers.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. Oh, that was also a big thing. So we can all agree the biggest problem with Marvel movies, well, the VFX, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Was the writers. It's not the directors. It's not the actors. It's the writers. The writers are horrible. They just hired a bunch of clunky dunks and just like, that's it, and moved on. Horrible. Absolutely fucking horrible. Rewrite all of those scripts. I don't want a single one of them. Just get them. I don't care if they're masterpieces. Get the fuck out. Think of something new, because that's where I'm at. Okay, these are shit. These are fucking shit. You cannot watch. Bob Igor is probably like, Kevin Feige, I gave you Disney Plus, and you decide on a writer that didn't even watch your TV show. You decided to let them improv for 4 hours. Where's my money?
Kevin Feige, I gave you WandaVision. I let you put WandaVision on Disney Plus, and then you put out Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and you decide not to connect anything. I gave you a time to let your characters grow, and you did nothing with it. What happened?
You released, in the 2 years that I've been gone, 8 Disney Plus shows. 8! And you only renewed one of them. 2, sorry. Who remembers What If? No one. I didn't. That's why I didn't mention it, Kevin. Just saying.
And the quality of film you've been putting out since Iger left has not been good.
The amount of lists I have been upon of top 10 worst CGI of all time and that little floating head that I don't even remember in Thor Love and Thunder has been upon is ridiculous. It's absolutely fucking. I remember that movie being bad. Actually, I remember that movie being okay. And I remember being like, no, Jacob, it's bad. And then I'm like, is it? And then I was like, yes. And I was like, nope, not going to go rewatch that. And so I honestly don't know. I just remember gay babies. That's it.
And then, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
But objectively, we like that.
After sitting on it, I didn't like this movie. I didn't like it. I don't know. MODOK really killed that movie for me.
See, whoever wrote that, oh, wait, it's the Rick and Morty writers. Huh, who shocked no one. And I get it. Maybe some people are better at writing television. The Loki writer, good at writing Loki. Nothing else. But you would think the Loki writer who's been dealing multi-travel and who introduced the multi-verse to the MCU in the first place would know how to handle the multiverse, but he didn't. So, just saying.
That was Marvel's first real big mistake.
We all knew it too. We all said it. We all were like, Kevin, you don't need to open this door. And he was like, I want to play. And we're all like, don't play. And then What If came out, and the final episode was so good that we're like, maybe you should play just a little bit. And then we all regretted it. We all were like, this is a bad idea.
I can honestly say, after now being with the MCU 5 years post Endgame, I'm not that big of a fan of the MCU anymore. They really have to earn they have to earn it back. I have liked 4 projects that they have put out. 4 out of everything.
The only 2 that I vividly did not like truly just did not enjoy watching. 3, sorry. That I just did not enjoy at all. What If? Most of it, not everything, but most of it I didn't really like. I thought it was really dumb. If you don't have a conclusion to your story, you're a bad writer. It's just the moral of the story. I don't care if it's a what if or not. What ifs have conclusions. I read the comics. Yeah. Yeah, shitty writer. Doctor Strange 2, I don't think I need more to say about that one. Just being honest. There's things about that is good, but there's also a lot of things about it that is bad. So, I can't just watch it for mom, even though I call it mom. Maybe I can. Who knows? And then Thor Love and Thunder, which I personally don't really remember, so I'm just assuming it was bad because everybody tells me it's bad. Everybody else tells me Quantumania is bad, but maybe because I went in such low expectations because I was really expecting nothing because I really hate Ant-Man and the Wasp, with such a deep, dark passion, that maybe I just walked out of it thinking, you know what? Not that bad. Could have been worse. I saw the last one.
The highlights so far of the MCU post Endgame have been Shang-Chi.
Great movie.
I personally love Eternals.
It's a mixed bag.
WandaVision.
Great.
Miss Marvel.
Great.
Loki.
You can continue. I'm not going to say great.
That's where it stops.
Okay, so
for Black Panther.
Personally,
6.
for me, Zachary has Vendettas. I did. Sorry, I heard voices and I got scared. Zachary has Vendettas. It's just who he is. So, that's okay.
I have what?
Vendettas.
I don't have any
Yeah,
vendettas.
don't worry. We're gonna go through my list, and you're like, oh wait, maybe I do. So, the good movies in Marvel, in my opinion, Black Widow,
Mm-hmm.
still one of my favorite Marvel movies. Everybody hates it. I love it. Get the fuck over it. Hawkeye, the follow up, fucking amazing. I watched that 3 times last year during Christmas time. 3 times. I never once got tired of it. I just kept going backwards.
Dave, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you an honest question about Hawkeye?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Did you watch Hawkeye 3 times because you enjoyed the show, or did you watch Hawkeye 3 times because Yelena Belova was in the show?
No, actually, because I enjoyed the show.
Are you being
I
honest with
love,
yourself?
yeah, I love the TV show. I love the exploration of grief. I love the exploration of trauma and the danger and what that does for the character. I love just seeing Hawkeye, I don't know, as like an actual human being. And no one can get over how amazing Kate Bishop is. And yes, the amazing, heart pounding, heartbreaking assist by one amazing Yelena Belova is always spectacular. But was not the main reason. Wasn't not the main reason, but wasn't the main reason. Okay? Doesn't matter if it was or not. Who the fuck cares? Shang-Chi. Let's think here. Oh, really like Miss Marvel. I enjoyed She-Hulk. I will not lie. I did not like She-Hulk on initial watch. I liked the first episode, then it got bad. But I highly recommend the binge of She-Hulk. The binge of She-Hulk changed that entire TV show for me. Could not recommend that more than like anything. WandaVision, of course, my baby. I've seen that more than any other MCU project. Literally. That's my comfort, which is kind of scary, but that's fine. Didn't like Moon Knight. So we have Miss Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say Miss Marvel? I don't think I
Mm-hmm.
did.
You did.
Oh, I did. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Black Panther 2. Amazing. Probably the
Mm-hmm.
one of the best movies they've released post Endgame.
I agree.
Um,
Is No Way Home in this list?
No Way Home would count as in these movies. Yeah, it is a Spider-Man movie. It's not on my list, but it would count if it's in your list. Sorry.
Okay, so I have 7. So No Way Home is on there too.
I'm trying to think of what else came out. Oh, Falcon and Winter Soldier. I also very much love. I think about it way more than I probably should. I don't know. Overall, I'm having a great time. It's the moral of the story. If I rank them, it's my favorite characters are ranked higher than everything else. But that's just because you enjoy watching things that you enjoy. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I wish that they would introduce new characters, but they would. The problem I had with Moon Knight and other problems I've had with other characters is the fact that they're not attached to the MCU. They're in their own little bubble. Werewolf
Mm-hmm.
by Night never felt like an MCU project. Moon Knight never felt like an MCU project. There's a superhero doing superhero things, but it never felt like it was a part of something larger. That's the beautiful
Not
thing
even.
about Falcon and Winter Soldier, Hawkeye. These things, they evolve, they explore. Miss Marvel was so in depth with its content. Loki was, Loki.
Not
And
even the Christmas special for Guardians
no,
felt like it was connected.
but then again, the Christmas special is setting up a movie that we have not seen, so I can't really talk to that because we haven't seen the final result of that. So maybe we'll
I
think
love that
differently.
too.
I hated that. Honestly, I'm not really looking. We'll talk about that. Okay, we got to move on. Either way, we're going to continue onwards with Disney because we just have more things to talk about. So let's just continue downwards. A part of Bob Iger's big old, we're going through and murdering people phase. That's what he decided. We have huge updates on Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts was originally already written, already set to start filming this year, towards the end of this year. Like August, I think it was like the start
Mm-hmm.
date. It's now been pushed to like October, I think now. Because it's going through massive rewrites. If you've seen the TV show Beef, which is very anxiety reduced inducing but very fun, on Netflix, do recommend if you can handle it. The creator and writer and director of that will be writing and directing Thunderbolts. It makes sense if you've seen Beef. You understand why. He also brought over Stephen Young, who is from Walking Dead. That is Glenn. He'll be playing a mysterious character that we've all pretty much already guessed. I can't remember the name though because I'm tired.
Hyperion.
There you go. And which is a race bending character, but who gives a fuck nowadays? It's
Chuck.
2023. Get over yourself. And
Mhm.
sorry,
Good job, Jake.
a little aggressive, but I'm really
No,
tired
it's
of
true.
it.
High five. Good job.
And yeah, and I think this is the only part that I don't like about this rewrite. Part of the reason why they rewrote it was because it was more aiming for like a Black Widow 2 sequel type of thing, more aiming towards the Black Widow characters and kind of leaving the other ones off to end. But in order to not do that, they took Yelena outside of the team leader. She's no longer the team leader. Now they made Bucky the team leader, and that has been confirmed in multiple different places. So I would really just hope they were co-leaders of Thunderbolts because I think they both would deserve it. And also, that romance would be really nice. Do I think Yelena is slightly bisexual? For sure, but I also think Bucky is too. So like, it doesn't really matter. Let the gays love who the
Also,
gays
Zemo
love.
should be a part of this movie.
I definitely do agree. I think that was one of the worst cuts from Falcon Winter Soldier is not recruiting him. I do think you're going to continue to feel that as we
Oh
continue
yeah,
to progress. I
as you
don't think
know,
there's enough of a split between the two worlds. I think there's too many Black Widow characters and not enough other characters. I wonder if they do add Zemo in now because Ghost is
because the
gone. It's
rewrites.
also because she left the project, Ghosted. So maybe they will have more rooms, or maybe they'll find another female character to put another female character on the team. That's also possible to try to keep the numbers and stuff. We'll just see how it
They could
works.
also add. They could also add Blonsky if they wanted to.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities. Really just depends on the budget and what they're really going for the movie. This is a big team up movie. I'm really excited for this for that reason. This is like one of the first offhand team up movies. It doesn't really have like we're building from a bunch of other characters type of thing. We're building a bunch of side characters who are finally getting a movie together. And that's never
Mm-hmm.
really been done before. And so I'm excited to see how that plays out with audience members. Do they like this or
This
they wish that it was more like the Avengers where we had side projects and then we moved into a bigger thing?
this reminds me a lot of when Guardians One was coming out, where like we didn't know much of what was going on and how it's dynamic would work with these people. So I
Yeah.
think they have that going for them for sure. And I think if Thunderbolts can hit that Guardians One vibe, not in the sense of like intergalactic stuff, but like they maintain like an anti-family esque thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, we still don't know what this movie really is going to be about. We just know that the team's coming together.
I do know once again it's being rewritten, so is Captain America New World Order, so we'll see how well they're connected. But I do know a part of New World Order and also into Thunderbolts was the vibranium war that was being teased at the end of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. They were supposed to have like a tiny seed line throughout these movies, mostly in
Mm-hmm.
Thunderbolts. One of the rumors going around was that the team was going and grabbing vibranium from all these different locations. That was like one of the big things because that's what's her face. That's what she really wants. She wants that power, and so she was sending out
Mm-hmm.
her team to do that for her,
Oh,
type of
Fontaine.
thing. Yeah, 14. Um, so who's obviously in cahoots with Thunderbolt Ross and stuff. But either way,
President Thunderbolt Ross.
that's true. We'll see how well that all works out and things because once again they're having a new writer come in to do it. I'm sure there's still story points that they have to stick to because
Will
we do
Captain
need
America come out before Thunderbolts or after Thunderbolts?
Captain America should come out before Thunderbolts.
So if it comes out after Thunderbolts, it's going to be weird.
Well, we'll just see how it's written. Once again, I think the biggest thing here is consistency.
Mm-hmm. And
Making
that's what
sure
the
that
MCU is lacking.
I do agree. And that's why I really enjoyed these last few projects where I can finally kind of see things being placed together. Like the multiversal saga, I can finally kind of seeing little places because movies coming down the pipeline and stuff. And so it does make me a little excited, but it also makes me a little nervous. So we'll see how it
But
goes.
here's a transition for you. That whole multiversal thing might get changed again because of Jonathan Majors. Hit the button.
Oh, I was gonna go. We can start there. I was gonna go over there, but that's fine. Jonathan, I had this whole Bob Iger thing going on, Zachary.
Well,
That's
he's
okay. He
involved in
picked
it.
up. He is involved, kind of. Um, Zachary made a good point before we started this pod. Before we started with Jonathan Majors, we're only
Mm-hmm.
talking about a situation right now because it has to deal with the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
We covered stories like this in the past when it deals with big franchises. We're going to continue to covering it the same way. We did this with the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard situation, the Scarlett Johansson situation versus Disney. The same thing goes for Jonathan Majors, who has been convicted of a crime, a very horrible crime at that, and is the lead, the big bad villain for the next like 6 films in the MCU, and he's very much front and center in those 6 films. This isn't like
I
some.
mean, spoilers for Quantumania. It's been out for a while now, but the post-credit scene clearly shows you Jonathan Majors is all over the current multiversal stuff they're going to be going with.
I mean, at this very moment in time, for anybody who is wondering, he has not been cut from Loki season 2. He is very much the third
Still a part of
main
it.
lead.
I think the only thing that has been cut involving him is all the army stuff that they talked about, but I think that's it.
And again, who knows? They might still be waiting on like.
So, I want to treat this as, for right now, just speculatory stuff, like what we think could happen, and what does that mean for the MCU moving forward. When it comes to the actual stuff against Majors, I don't want to say anything about that until we know concrete information coming out from the courts and what that means for him as moving forward. Because if this goes in a way where I hope it doesn't go, but it could, Jonathan Majors' career could be very well just done. Like, this could be it, and Jonathan Majors had his run, and we could be done moving on with him. But again, I don't want to say anything about that until we know more about what happened at the courts.
Only thing I have to say about it, once again, I definitely do agree. I think we need to talk about we need to stick to the other situation here. The only thing that I have to say is Ezra Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Very different situations, but both deal with very heinous crimes. One kidnapping, one abuse. But Ezra Miller is still going to go on press. He's still going to go on tour for the Flash. He's still going to go all over the world. These are all things that are going to happen. These things are not going to change, and he's still going to get paid money for that movie. So that's my only thing. We should look at it from that side of the point as well. And then, of course, we can always go back to the good old Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard situation. You're never proven guilty until a court of law. And so until he is truly proven guilty in a court of law, it's all he said, she said, even if they have proof, which is why we're not going to talk about it. Because there's a lot of people saying he's completely innocent, and there's a lot of people saying he's not completely innocent. My always thing comes back to, why would you call the cops on something you did wrong? And he's the one who called the cops. But then again, we don't know the whole story, so that's all I got to say for it. I don't know him.
When it comes to the MCU, when it comes to the MCU side of the situation, I think this puts Kevin and Bob in a very precarious situation that they have not been in yet. This is the first time that Marvel's really had to deal with an actor outside of the projects. They really haven't dealt with this before. This is new territory for them. So I am curious to see what Feige's response will be in the coming weeks and/or months, depending. Like, if we get to Comic-Con, he says, well, the multiverse changed it again. Me or New Kane the Conqueror, yada, yada, yada. And they don't explain why or anything. They just say that happened. Like, if that happens, I think that'd be a really dumb idea on how to do it, but that's something that they could do. They also have to look at the financial side. Like, we talked about this before we started recording earlier. Majors has been in a couple of films. And I think where he shined was Lovecraft Country. That's where everybody really got their attention for him, was Lovecraft Country on HBO last year. And then obviously, he did the movie Devotion, which financially did not do very well for him. He did Creed 3, which has got good word of mouth, but again, financially is not.
No, it actually financially did phenomenal.
But then his main one, his big one, was Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania, and financially that didn't do very well, and no one particularly liked him in the movie. So,
but my only thing to that, I think, is interesting because he had 2 movies come out back to back. Not many actors can say that happened, but they came out like 2 weeks apart, and that's what happened. Jonathan Majors, once again, if we look at the box office, Creed is still making money. It's making money every week. It's available to rent and to buy, but it's still making money. And this has been going on for a while now. Obviously, this is a month ago that we've been talking, that we're talking about information about this and things, which means he's not harming the film. This, whatever is going on in his personal life, is not directly affecting it because he is a co-lead in that movie. Don't get it wrong. Michael B. Jordan is all over that. That movie failed. Michael B. Jordan would be the one to blame. It would not have been Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors was coming in to give an assist. You know how Hollywood works. But he is a co-lead. He is as much in that movie, from what I understand, as a Michael B. Jordan is. You know what I mean? And so taking that into since this has been going on and stuff, the only big hit here was Ant-Man 3, but Ant-Man 3 also had a lot of other things going against it. Ant-Man has never done well at the box office, ever. They've all been clunkers. Nothing's ever broken over 600. It's all been downhill. Ant-Man 3 just happened to be really, really bad. Ant-Man 3 was also horribly, either you liked it or you didn't like it, but it was not really reviewed well by the critics. A lot of people did not like it. A lot of people thought it was silly and stupid and went nowhere, and then we didn't really get to see anything. I disagreed. I saw a lot of places that this could go, but a lot of people didn't really care for it. Audience including. We talked to a lot of people. I talked to a lot of people since then. They didn't really like the movie. Me and Zachary were the oddballs out, especially in our screening. As we were walking out, I couldn't. Do you remember all those people sighing, being like, "That was horrible"? Like, there was a lot of people in our screening who did not like that movie. But with Creed 3, on the other hand, because 2 movies did come out with him in it, financially, it's done absolutely phenomenal. It's the best it's done in the Creed franchise. It's a new height for Creed. And then, reception-wise, phenomenal. Has an A Cinema score. The RT score is phenomenal, audience included. So you could just say Ant-Man 3 was based on the writing and based on it just being poorly received, and maybe it has nothing to do with Jonathan Majors in the role. You would hope that Jonathan Major could pull that assist because he was such a big part of the ad campaign. That's where Zachary is coming from, and that's the important part here. But if you didn't know who King was because you didn't watch Loki, you didn't really care the villain. And that's the counter to that. Is that you had to go see it to understand who the villain was. Not a lot of people went and saw Ant-Man the Lost Quantumania. A lot of people decided we're going to wait until it goes to digital, or we're going to wait until it goes to Disney Plus and watch it then. Whereas a lot of people did decide to go see Creed 3, mostly for Michael B. Jordan, not for Jonathan Majors, to be fair. And it's done great, but he's not harmed that movie. So that's my only thing when thinking about where this could go. I really think that movies with King, things with King in it, I think Loki will be fine. It's a streaming service. I don't think it's going to be, unless it's truly horrible, not the TV show, but whatever he did, and people are truly offended that they're even giving him grounds type of thing. Everything else, I'd say we're just going to continue to see that push like we were talking about earlier with these movies and these things, because they're going to continue to let it breathe. Hopefully with that breathing, it will go away or it'll be solved or whatever will happen. They can continue on their merry way. This has happened time and time again in the past where studios just brush things underneath the rugs and people who like the movies don't care.
I don't know, that's bullshit. It sucks.
I do agree. But I think the counter to this, if he does get acquitted with whatever he is being charged of, you gotta go back to Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp lost everything for almost the exact same charges on a much higher scale. But almost the exact same charges. You have to go back to Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp had to lose everything. You would expect Jonathan Majors also to have to lose everything.
Completely agree. But then we go. Yes. So let's go into that. Let's go into the what if, Marvel has to recast.
Well, then I'm assuming they're going to do the same thing you just mentioned. They're going to open the multiverse stuff and be like, we got a new one. And then they're going to say, but the audience is going to be like, we saw that post-credit scene or the end credit scene. They all look like Jonathan Majors to me. That was a choice. And I'll be like, but did you see that little one over in the corner where it's like you guys can't see it at all? Yeah, that's this one. Okay, but what about the big battle with a bunch of kings and stuff? How are you going to do that, Marvel? And they're like, Can you just go with it?
It's like, what does Marvel then have to reshift and redelay movies to kind of fix things and get ready for what they're doing again? Or does Kevin Feige finally look at the product he's putting out and go, you know what, this multiverse saga just isn't cutting it. What movie in my slate is a good cutoff point? What do we lead to now to where we can fix this? Like, does he axe King Dynasty altogether and they fix it
I don't
again?
think so. And I only say this because the issue with like movies in the future, movies that are planned out like this, contracts are already written. You have to buy out those contracts. The people who are slated that we don't even know yet, obviously we continue to add people into those movies. That's how it works. But the initial slate of those movies that have been already worked through, the actors that are definitely going to show up or whatever, already have those contracts, already are signed, already are like, okay, in 3 years, I got to make sure my schedule is open type of thing. I always think back to how Netflix, when you have a TV show with Netflix, they gatekeep you. They're like, you work for us. You work for us until we cancel you. Jessica, Kristen Ritter had talked about this. Is why she wrote a book because she couldn't do anything else. She was physically not allowed. It was in her contract that she was only allowed to film Jessica Jones, and that's it. And contracts are somewhat similar to that as well, in the same line of you have to make sure you're available for the time slot that they begin filming and things like that if you already signed on to the project. And so it could be in a situation of where they can't go backwards. They just had to figure out how to maneuver our way to the final goal. I could see them maybe trying to cut out projects that are not
Hmm.
fully completed yet, projects don't have a full cast yet, where they're like, well, he was supposed to show up here, but maybe he doesn't need to, and we can cut him out and we can put something else here instead.
Yeah,
It's going to be very sloppy if they do that,
I can.
especially if we're going into the actual strike.
Yeah, I honestly think at this point the only Marvel movie I'm safe with and betting on is Deadpool 3. I think of any project they've got going right now, Deadpool 3 to me is the safest bet. And I
Deadpool 3,
honestly,
however, has to deal with King, supposedly, and the TVA and stuff like that. So it does make me a little nervous, but that's still very early developmental stages that it
yeah,
could change completely. You might
they
not
could
need
still
King to
deal with
do the
it. They could still
TVA
deal with
story.
the TVA
Yeah.
if they wanted to, and just not have to have the King part if they didn't want to. So again, we just got to wait and see. I really, it sucks that this all happened. But again, I'm hoping for the best. I really hope this can all be like this month's talk, and we come back next month podcast, and it's all done and gone, and we don't have to worry about it anymore.
All
That's
right,
the
moving
ultimate
on
goal and hope.
to something that's definitely not going to be gone and done by the time the next podcast comes around. We're going to be moving into another issue that Bob Iger decided to fix. One of the biggest issues Disney has been accused of in the recent, is the VFX. VFX is run by one person, that would be Victoria Alonso. Victoria Alonso has been a part of the VFX team for a very long time. She is the top person. She is no longer. We're going to talk about that. It says leaves, but she was fired. That
Fired.
has been since confirmed since the initial headline. Um, but for the shitty VFX that people have accused her of in the past is all through her. She is the one giving crunch time. She is the one making every VFX artist pissed off at her, to making the blowfish look like the blowfish just because they can in The Little Mermaid. That's essentially what she has done. And that's essentially why she has been fired. She was doing a very poor job at her job. She is
Well,
suing Disney for wrongful in, which I find hilarious.
it's not just that she was doing a project behind their back, and they found out, and Disney was like, no, you're contractually obligated to stay with us. You can't do a project outside of that contract. And she was like, fuck you guys, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm like, good on Disney for getting rid of her if she's not going to be committed to the program. Like, just bye.
That's really all I really have to say for it. I think this is good news.
Yes.
I think this is completely positive news because you can look at other movies. I'm going to talk about one here relatively soon with Dungeons and Dragons. Paramount has a great VFX team. That's one of the things we really praise for that movie when we talk about it here in a minute. And then another thing that I'm going to really praise, even though I've not seen Shazam 2, almost every DC movie that I've seen has fucking phenomenal VFX. Even if the movie shit, the VFX is normally pretty good.
I can attest to this. Black Adam, piece of shit film. The VFX in that movie, Dr. Fate, holy shit.
Exactly. So we definitely need more of that. So do you have anything else to add to that? I felt like that was
No,
pretty.
I'm really glad she's gone. I also think this is good for the VFX company over there at Disney and Marvel. Fresh, clean slate. Bring in somebody that actually cares about the craft they're working on. Give them the time to work on the projects they're working on currently. And I really hope with the massive Marvel delays, this now gives these VFX people the time that they need to work on these projects and not push them out as quickly as they were. I also think the pandemic didn't help this at all because they were forced to get these things out very quickly or get them done faster than they needed to be done. And that unfortunately resulted in some of the VFX we have seen over the past couple of years. And so I hope that with Victoria gone, they bring in someone that can appreciate that craft and give the people the time they need to work it and make it look good.
And then, of course, this also comes out, the story did come out after Marvel had already put the pause on multiple projects, which means that all those projects that had VFX work that still need to be done on will now have even more time to be able to get those things done before. The Marvels is a big one, for sure.
That's you're done from a week.
Yeah.
And so my next thing I want to end off with this, his tyrant, Bob Igor himself. We're gonna go over to Disney Investor Day coverage. I'm just gonna cover. Don't worry, now we're gonna talk David about this. I'm just gonna cover the new announcement projects, so we can get it over with and done with. What's wrong?
One announcement he made really makes me sad.
So the announcements that he had made on that day.
Zootopia 2, Frozen 3, and Toy Story 5.
Yes, those were true.
Zootopia 2, too long, too time coming. I'm happy it's happening. Frozen 3, obvious. Toy Story 5, why? Just why?
This is also very true as well.
Buzz is going to be a dummy again, and I don't want to deal with dumb Buzz again. I don't want to deal with it because Woody's going to be fun. And what's the
in that defense, the defense of it,
There's
which
no
I'm
defense.
sure you're gonna be like, there's no defense, and I'm gonna be like, but Zachary, oh my God, I called you me. There is a defense. That defense being a movie called Lightyear came out where they tried to do something different, and it failed.
Yeah.
It failed miserably.
Yeah.
So the big ones that got announced, like Zachary had said, we have Frozen 3. I'm just happy it got announced.
Yeah.
Zootopia 2. From what I understand, part of the reason why that continued to get pushed was because Bob Iger was not there, and these are things that Bob Iger did push. Toy Story 4 came out at the end of Bob Iger's career at Disney, and it made $1 billion. And so Toy Story 5, I think, was inedible, in my opinion. Where are they going to go? I don't know. Friends. Toys don't have friends. So I don't know. We'll see. And then they also announced Pandora at Disneyland. That was also the other big thing for anybody who is a theme park type of person. You guys are getting Avatar's Pandora, which is very exciting. Some of those rides I've heard are pretty cool. But overall, I'm excited for this slate, except for Toy Story 5. I definitely do agree. We were both very much not liking Toy Story 4. I've seen it a few times since we saw that in theaters.
I appreciate Toy Story 4. What they did is fine, but Woody's gone now, which means we're just going to have to deal with Forky and Buzz. And I like Forky. I do not like Buzz right now. Buzz is a dumb idiot, and I don't want to deal with dumb idiot Buzz.
Really hated Toy Story 4.
I like Forky.
And that didn't change. I still hate Toy Story 4.
However, there is still there is one scene in Toy Story 4 you appreciate, and that's the unicorn getting the dad thrown in jail.
Yeah, the unicorn. Give me more unicorn. But that's about it. All right, now we're going to jump over to some coverage stuff, go through some reviews, and then we're going to end with some last-minute drama. Well, should I cover the Lilo Stitch thing now and then jump over to finish off Disney? Or do reviews?
I think we should do the trailers. Leave Lilo and Stitch in the water for right now because we really don't know a lot about that one. We know we know 3 people. We don't know
5
really
people.
Okay, we know 5 people, but we don't really know what the movie is going to be like. We don't know if it's going to be a faithful like 1-to-1 adaptation or what that kind of stuff.
Okay, that's fine. All right. We'll continue with the other 2 things because we can just talk about the one thing. We don't talk about the in-depth situation, and then the other one I just find funny. I just think it's kind of like hilarious now after so much time has passed. But we're gonna talk about trailer coverage. Trailer coverage is a segment on this podcast where we're gonna talk about trailers that came out in the month of March, the important ones, the ones that caused the headlines, the ones that made you happy, the ones that made you giddy. Also, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 because I didn't have any place to put it, and this is where we're gonna talk about it. Okay, we're gonna get started. Zachary, should we just go down the list?
Sure, why not?
Okay. What did you think of Haunted Mansion?
Looks okay.
I actually really, it gave me Jungle Cruise kind of vibe, but more scary, and I'm really into that.
The best way I can put this is that I think it looks like a Disney Plus streaming film and not a theatrical release.
See, I completely disagree. I feel like this definitely looks like a theatrical release. It gives me theatrical release vibes. I'm very excited to see it in theaters. And I've seen the original Haunted Mansion, the one that is so famous, and it does not hold up anymore, sadly. So it was,
one?
yeah, it didn't really. It was really hard to watch. It wasn't as good as I remembered, which really sucked. That was one that we really watched a lot as a child.
Yeah, that was a regular one. We used to laugh at the girl with the ball in the head all the time.
Yeah. This one looks a lot more terrifying, a lot more scary, like a true horror film, which Disney hasn't really produced, and so I think that's very exciting. Obviously, I know Zach really wants to talk about the next one, so I'll give him the table.
I'll keep it brief. I mean, I want to make sure we can, get within our time limit here. Turtles looks fantastic. Looks so
What is
good.
it? I mean, you got it.
Turtles is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem is being executive produced by. I do not know the directors for this movie, unfortunately. I just know that Seth Rogen is a big push for this film. And honest to God, I love the trailer. My favorite thing about this movie is that kids are playing turtles, not adults, not teenagers, not young adults, children. Children are playing turtles. Huh?
I'll tell you in a minute.
Okay. But the turtles are being played by kids. I think Seth Rogen playing Bebop is hilarious because he played a warthog already in Lion King, and I think that's funny. John Cena's playing Rocksteady, which I think is very, very good casting. Jackie Chan as freaking Splinter, perfect. So I think the animation for this is fantastic. The teaser was really, really good. My favorite thing is the whole ooze. Roll out the tongue, ooze. I thought it was just funny.
I do have to say it plays really well in theaters. Every time the trailer popped up in a theater, everybody would laugh. And we'd get a few chuckles out. So I think it is going to play pretty well in that standard. We went ahead and decided to look up the writer and some stuff on it. I know we didn't do it for Haunted Mansion, but in reality, he was curious. Jeff Rowe is a top person, one of the directors for this one with Kyler Spears. Kyler Spears doesn't really have a directing background. He worked on a few things, but they're mostly known for doing Mitchell versus Machines, which
that makes me excited.
Now, only if the writer of Mitchell's versus Machines was handling this, but no, because it is a Seth Rogen project. Seth Rogen brought over one of his own personal writers. For Brandon O'Brien is who they brought over, and Brandon O'Brien wrote Neighbors, Neighbors 2, Mike and Dave Need a Wedding Dates, The House. Nothing of this is appropriate. That's all I got for you.
What do you think of the trailer?
I really liked it. I thought it was fun. It really grew on me. I'd say I really enjoyed it as
Yeah,
time
when we first talked
progressed,
about it, you didn't like it as much.
and I'm excited. I'm curious to see it.
And I think August is a perfect release month for this movie. I think it's
Yeah,
going to
August 4th,
thrive in August.
first weekend of August is always a perfect place to put some of these like weirder ones, and this is definitely
You know
in
where
that
you know
classification.
you know what also held August 4th, Jacob? Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. You know what
And
turned out to be a
Suicide
really good
Squad.
movie? And Suicide Squad. You know what that ended up being? A great month for those weirdo movies. So I think Turtles will fit brilliantly here.
Next one is Little Mermaid. I wanted to mention Little Mermaid here. The
Little Mermaids?
Yeah,
There's
you know what?
multiple.
There's multiple of them. Jesus, don't judge me. Little Mermaid. I want to talk about it. Obviously, Zachary wasn't super. I'll let him explain what he thought of it. I don't know why I'm talking for you. I'm sorry. I'm tired. For me personally, I really liked the trailer. I saw a movie a long time ago called Call the Wild with Harrison Ford. That's an understated performance. Maybe he could pull that off. And that one had really bad VFX in it, if you've ever seen it before. But it was so bad that it kind of looked like a storybook moving, which was a very like special and intimate feeling. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like The Little Mermaid had a very similar quality to that with its terrible VFX. Where I was like, I feel like this could be very magical. The only thing I wish Disney live action movies would stop doing is doing the ultra realism
Mm-hmm.
on their
The
people,
sidekicks?
the sidekicks. I know it's
Because
making $1
Flounder
billion,
don't look like Flounder.
but I'm gonna use Abu for a second. Abu looked like Abu. He looked like a monkey, and luckily enough, he is a monkey. But he still had the personality of Abu in that movie. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to take it seriously when Flounder starts speaking like Jacob Tremblay. I just
Or,
don't know.
when, freaking Sebastian looks like a small crab and starts singing Under the Sea.
Yeah, I really just don't know. I just think
Or Aquafina as a
maybe
seagull.
Yeah, I just think maybe they should have thought about this one. It does make me nervous because once they start running out of these, they're gonna go to other movies like Finding Nemo and stuff. And like, could you just imagine like a full live action version of Finding Nemo? And that's where my brain goes. And it would be terrifying. Definitely a horror film. So
The
yeah,
shark scene in that movie alone.
not the shark scene. The
Oh,
the scene where it's pitch black and then the little light pops
oh,
up. And,
good God.
hey, did you
Fun
know
for the
that
whole family.
this is such a weird little tangent, but I don't care. I'm going to tell you anyways. Did you know that there's an end credit scene to Finding Nemo, like at the very, very end of the movie?
What?
Okay, so in the shark don't eat people scene type of thing, or sharks don't eat fish, whatever it is, you know what I'm talking about. There's a little
Fish all
fish.
friends, not food.
There's a little fish in the back that looks really scared, like it's going to be eaten, but then it just swims off as if it's nothing. And at the very end of the movie, we're back with that little tiny fish. It's super small, like super super small. And the creature that scares us, it still scares me. It scares me to this day. I can't even think
It's
about without
terrifying.
getting like. I'm sorry, babe. It's a shrimp. Thank you. Okay. It's a little shrimp, and it eats the big fish entirely.
I did not know this. That's incredible.
I didn't
God,
know it
Finding
either.
Nemo was a great movie.
I didn't know it either. I was yesterday old. So, what'd you think about the Little Mermaid?
Okay. I think Haley, how do you say Haley Bell
Um,
or
oh God,
Bailey?
Halle Bailey. Halle Bailey.
Halle Bailey looks incredible. Her voice could knock the socks off people. It real part of your world's gonna make me cry, and I'm fully prepared for it. I think King Triton looks really cool. I think Ursula looks awesome. It's her companions. It's just it seeing this little sliver of a fish fly behind her and going, Ariel, no. It's just weird. But then Aquafina talks as a seagull, and the seagull
I
looks too real.
just have to say though, like a part of me just thinks about like when we're talking about Beauty and the Beast. and how we're like, no, that's not going to work. And then it worked.
But that was still like an imagination land because it was a candle talking. This was like a realistic fish.
Okay, I think, how long has it been since you've seen Beauty and the Beast?
Hot minute.
You got homework assignment. Watch Beauty and the Beast and get back to me on that statement, because I think you're gonna look at me like, oh. Now I will mention it does not hold up as well as it did back in 2017,
17.
but I think that goes with just the way VFX is done nowadays.
Okay. Again, little sliver of a fish walking behind Ariel just looks off. When I think flounder, I think big puffy cheeks. I think a nice little rounded fish, blue and yellow. But then you're actually using a real flounder. I've had to fillet flounders. Let me tell you, they are these thin little things that just do this.
He killed Flounder. Okay.
He's a little prick, let me tell you.
On that note, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Zach really wanted to talk about this one, so I'm gonna let him talk about it.
The main trailer that came out that has the "Since You've Been Gone" song behind it hit me so hard. It just really did. I am so excited for Rocket. I am so excited for Rocket. However, the reason I bring this trailer up is I want to ask you, they have been hiding good old Adam Warlock from the majority of the ad campaign for this movie. Does that make you nervous for his character being introduced in Guardians 3? Yes or no?
Here's the thing with Guardians 3 and Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock is a baby. He acts like a baby. He acts like a spoiled little brat. He's an annoying character if you've ever read a comic with him in it. He has cool powers, which is the fun part about doing like Adam Warlock. I don't think
Still
he
save
looks.
the universe.
Yeah, still a baby. And he. Yeah, but they took away that storyline, so it doesn't even really matter.
No.
And then, like, on top of that, like, his paint doesn't look the best. Like, he looks partially gold, but not like fully gold. It's really weird to me. It's like, either commit or don't. I don't know what's going on with you. And so I do think they're a little nervous, but also he might not be in the movie a lot. This movie had gone through, once again, like most movies, a lot of changes and stuff. And Adam Warlock originally was supposed to be the main plan, and they changed it to what it actually is now. And so he might actually just have more like a B storyline than what we are expecting. There might not be a lot to show of his.
I also think the High Evolutionary looks terrifying. I love the idea of him as a villain, but again, it's Rocket, man. It really is. I now put Bradley Cooper's performance of Rocket Raccoon on the same level as Caesar from the Planet of the Apes movies. Like, I believe that raccoon. Like, I would die for that raccoon. And I am not ready to watch his story unfold because it's going to break my heart. I'm going to cry in this movie, and I'm not ready. Emotionally, not ready. Also, Groot's way too buff.
You know, it's weird that you bring that up because I actually do think that I kind of don't mind him. As the trailers have continued to come out and stuff,
Buff Groot.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I minded it a lot in
The
the
holiday special.
holiday special because it looked particularly fake there. It just really reminded me of a man in a suit. Whereas the movie, at least in the trailers, the way it's shot and stuff, I don't really get that feeling. There is something about that is weird, but hopefully they do something like kind of cool with it.
I think Nebula will steal the show from the movie.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think Nebula and Gamora could steal the show.
And for Gamora, I just really hope that they do it justice, that they do her justice finally. She actually is like this killer that she's supposed to be, because she doesn't have all the feelings that she had in reality. I sent you the scene so you could watch it at your own leisure.
Oh, okay.
And then with like Nebula, the scene at the end with the eyes, in that trailer. Every time it pops up in a movie theater that I see that trailer in, everybody laughs immediately.
It's so funny.
So, and that's on both.
Kind of torture. He has a good choice in eyes.
That's on both parts of Chris Pratt and Karen Gillan. So good for them both.
I think everybody will give it their all because it's the last one. So I think everybody will give
Well,
their best performance as their character.
they
That's what I
fought for James Gunn to come back for this, to do this. So I think
think.
they're all going to give it their all because they knew it was going to be the last one. Like in
So, and
certain times right now, because sometimes they do get more than like maybe a Guardians of Volume 4, but now it's like officially no, there is no chance of getting more. But I do think that they're like, this is it,
go all out.
go all out.
And so that's why I have the most confidence in that movie this year for Marvel, is because I know everybody's going to give their 110% for it.
Speaking of good old James Gunn, he did announce that he is directing the brand new Superman movie. That
He's
makes
not just directing;
me
he's writing.
Extremely nervous.
So we're on opposite sides of this because on your side, I know you did not like Suicide Squad, and I know you didn't like Peacemaker.
Hated Peacemaker.
On the opposite side, the Suicide Squad is my favorite DC movie, and Peacemaker is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. So, and I know that he has been fighting to do this. This was the original
I
character they
know.
gave him to do. And I also think that we need to. I think everybody's jumping on Gunn. I think a little too much because of like the decisions he's made and all that. And I get that, but we really can't judge what he's going to do with DC until this movie. Like if this movie fails, then once again DC needs to rethink itself.
Yeah, but
But we have to wait and see what he's going to do.
the shit that makes me mad about Gunn and the way he's been handling DC, I honestly feel like he just needs to go back to media training. I feel like someone did not do a good job enough.
He is
Goodness.
he's like Trump levels of over tweeting.
Like, okay, you know what? I have no thoughts and opinions on this. I think it's a bad idea. I think you need a softer writer for Superman. I'm just going to be honest with you. That's my personal opinion on the matter, and we're just going to move on. Directing wise, I've never thought John's directing was bad. Even in Suicide Squad, even in parts of the Peacemaker and stuff, I've never once thought that's a shitty director. If I've ever seen one, I've always just thought his writing is bad. And that's almost in every movie I've ever watched James Gunn. That's not like it's just unanimous, like one Pacific. That's almost overall just did not like. Not his directing. What's coming down here to drama over Shazam 2, where we can talk about James Gunn directly here, because he's as much a part of this as Dwayne Johnson and Zachary Levi are. Because this by the way, we have 2 reviews after this. And then we just have like a few fun short segments. So this is like the last big story for anybody who's been sitting here and like, when is this going to end? Soon. It's coming up. My ass is telling me soon. So it's going to happen. So let's take you through it. Shazam 2 opened with one of the lowest openings for any superhero movie of all time. That's not good. Shazam ended its run with one of the lowest running superhero movies of all time. That's also not good.
Not good.
So Zachary Levi was told to go onto his Instagram by, one can assume, Gunn or Pierre Safran, somebody in Warner Brothers, and say that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is the reason why our movie sucked. I have not personally seen the movie. I cannot talk to if that's the case or not. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, however, was like, "Oh, what the fuck are you doing? I produced this. You can't be saying this. I'm gonna come back and rebuttal. I was never even offered the idea of coming into your movie. I wouldn't have accepted it, because that's Dwayne Johnson for you, but I was never offered the idea. Then, because this drama built up over the course of like 3 days over this one incident,
The
Zachary
post-credits
Levi,
fiasco.
the post-credits fiasco, yes. Zachary Levi kind of imploded his entire career in like 5 days. I would be really shocked if anybody puts in front of camera for a long time. Anything that he has to go talk to people about for a long time. You can totally tell he's having like a nervous breakdown about this. This movie is laying on his back. There's a bunch of other people in it, but he is the target seller. This movie done bad. He wasn't coming back, and I bet you anything when he went in to have that conversation, like Jason Momoa went in to have that conversation, it's the same conversation. You do really good in your movie. Maybe you get to come back. Maybe not as your character, maybe as a different character, but your movie has to do well for this deal to go forward. If your movie doesn't do well, no more deal. I bet you think Aquaman got the same shit.
Yeah.
Difference here, Aquaman was $1 billion picture, Shazam was like a $400 million picture, but Shazam couldn't even match that. And Shazam got panned by critics, panned by audiences, the whole 9 yards. And you could watch Zachary Levi literally implode on camera, as if his life was literally falling apart. He was fighting tooth and nail for people to go see this movie, to the point where it was just kind of sad, and it kind of reminded me a lot of like Dwayne Johnson when Black Adam was like imploding. Very similar situations, in my opinion. And I bring back over the fact that James Gunn had went online on Twitter and had specifically said, "You'll see Black Adam again. We're never seeing Black Adam again. You'll see Shazam again. We're never seeing Shazam again." Making these false promises already without being in office for like 8 months. And I feel like that's where I bring that in, James Gunn, into the situation, whereas it is truly a problem. Him going on Twitter and making false promises, because ultimately, even if you don't hurt that immediate person, you're going to hurt somebody else in the long run. Someone else is going to be disappointed. You're building up a failure type of thing. There was also the fiasco of Wonder Woman and a bunch of other stuff. That's the whole thing. And then you also have the director who was defending it, good for David Sandberg, going through, but he's also using Twitter to do so. And not every tweet looks the best on anybody involved in the picture.
And then Sandberg came out and said like he's done with superhero movies. Like this really just ruined it for him. And to me, what this is setting a precedent for is same thing with Star Wars. Like when you ask anybody, Christopher McQuarrie was asked about whether or not he wanted to do a Star Wars movie after Mission Impossible. Do you think I want to touch Star Wars? Have you seen that fandom? I don't want to deal with that.
Ben Affleck.
DC, Ben Affleck. Well, everything that happened with Ben.
He came back.
He came back. I don't know why, but he did.
No. I'm not talking about. I mean, he redid his career. Like Air basically just put a sail back into what he was before he.
And good for him. But to me, the biggest issue when it comes to the Shazam stuff, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier, is the post-credit scene nonsense. Hearing that the original plan for the for Shazam's post-credit scene was supposed to be the JSA, and The Rock denying that is nuts. I don't understand why The Rock cannot put his rock-sized ego aside and let his universe be connected. He wanted Henry Cavill so bad. But here's my thing. Everybody's criticizing James Gunn for these false promises. Dwayne did the same thing with Henry. He did the exact same with Henry.
I mean, the only difference is that Henry did come back.
But there's a difference, though, in that Dwayne promised it, saying that this was going to be the universe now. They gave Dwayne way too much power. That was their first mistake. They gave Dwayne too much power for Black Adam.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he shouldn't get hearsay if the character can show up.
No, he shouldn't. No, that is DC and Warner Brothers' idea to move the story forward, not because.
Especially because originally he was supposed to show up in Shazam, the first one, and then he was like, "No, I'm not going to do that. I'm above that." And they're like, "Oh yeah, no, you're right. You totally are." No,
you ruined the magic side of the universe within the first Shazam movie. Bless you. They ruined their own Shazam verse within their first film. And also, you've been talking about this since Shazam 1 came out. I was defending the idea, but clearly I was wrong. You were saying from day one that Shazam should have never gotten a sequel. And well,
and I liked the movie. It wasn't the fact that I didn't like the movie.
No,
it was just the fact the movie did horrible. It never found an audience. It wasn't like Across the Spider-Verse, where it was like no one saw that in theaters, but then it blew up somewhere Shazam never blew up somewhere. It never went somewhere to blow up. It was just here. You've seen it or you didn't see it, and everybody raved about it. Everybody's like, "Oh, did you see that movie?" Shazam will forever be one of those movies where I actually believe someone could fly. Like the the flight scenes where they're testing it out, not him
It's
actually flying in
awesome.
like epic battles or whatever, but where he's kind of floating or whatever. I truly, I remember sitting in that theater for its early screening because I got to see it advanced, and being there, being like, "Oh my god, yeah, no, he can fly." Like I very much remember that. And will I see Shazam too? Sure. I'm just curious where the story goes. River wants to see it. There's
I
dragons in it.
I think the overall consensus that I have between the Superman story we just talked about and this story is that this is just showing that the audience, the general going audience, is over the DCEU stuff. They are officially done and over with the extended universe stuff. And frankly, if that's the case, then why are we getting these other two?
Because the
Why?
contracts, I mean, I've explained this before. You
No,
have to
no,
let it play out.
no, I get that. I completely get that. But if it's going to be continuously diminishing returns,
Nah.
then you're hurting your brand more than anything. Then you're late. Then you're leaving Superman Legacy to fail.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
There's
Um,
no other way around it.
the
If
only movie in this lineup coming forward, including Blue Beetle, I'm going to include Blue Beetle in this list, is The Flash that I think could do really well. Only
it
if
just
it's good.
depends.
If it's
It
good,
depends.
story wise, because it is really hot. Anytime everybody talks about anything, the trailer always gets a very loud, reaction and stuff. People are anticipating that one because
Yeah,
they did do what they said they were going to do. They brought back Michael Keaton,
Michael
and if you
Keaton.
do watch it, there are tiny little bit of pieces like threads or whatever that will continue on into other versions of the new Batman will be
Whatever they're gonna
introduced in the
do.
Flash and stuff. So there's like a little bit of world building passed into like the new DCU. But then
What
again,
I hope.
I guess we'll
Go
just
on.
wait and see. No, I guess we'll just wait and see.
What I hope the Flash will do is give a swan song to the Snyderverse. Let's just call it what it is, the Snyderverse. Give it its swan song, and let Aquaman 2 come out, be this weird, wacky, hopefully good, weird December release, and then we won't see a DC movie again until 2025. And we'll have a year off of DC content on in the theaters, give people some time to breathe, move on, and then 2025 come around and we start over again fresh. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, but based on what I understand, I don't think people are gonna get that, and that's the part that makes me like a little nervous. In that regard, because I don't think people are gonna get the closure that they think they're gonna get with this movie. So I don't know. It's hard.
It
Um,
sucks. It sucks. You don't want to see. We never want to see movies fail. We never, and especially movies that you know. I don't know. It's just I want DC to thrive. I want Marvel to thrive. I really do. But they need to find their fitting and their footing. And if Superman fails, then DC has nowhere to go.
yeah, I don't really know. My opinion has always been the same, I guess, in the regard of the fact that um they should have done a complete reboot.
From the get
They
go.
shouldn't have brought anybody back and stuff, even people that people liked. New Harley Quinn, new Peacemaker, Fire Wife. Sucks, but you decide to take the position to have to do it. I mean, these are things that I think should have been expected, and the fact that they didn't do a clean reboot automatically means that this is set up to fail anyways. Because there's
Hmm.
always that person in the back being like, "But could you just imagine if Ben Affleck was doing that instead? Or
Yeah.
could you imagine if Henry Cavill would show up randomly? Because they could, because it's all part of the same universe, you know." If you don't do a complete clean cut, then it's all part of the same universe no matter what. And that's just like the answer.
I think
But yeah, what are you gonna say?
the other thing that's frustrating is I'm going to bring up Transformers again. The money did not show for the last night. What did Paramount do? They took a break. They came back and they did Bumblebee. They did a complete refresh. And now look at audiences. They're excited for Rise of the Beasts. I really wish Warner Brothers would have looked at either Black Adam or hell, even when Justice League was coming out, looked at the numbers and saw that these movies just weren't doing well
Well, the
and
problem with
took the bullet.
that is that Batman versus Superman and Justice League was predicted to do well because it was coming off of Wonder Woman, which was at that point the top grossing one out of the bunch, and Batman vs Superman did better than expected. So they were actually on a high point when Justice League came out. It was Justice League that threw everything amok. That movie is what ruined every. You can say what you want about the end of Batman vs Superman, but in reality,
It's
the thing
Justice
that
League.
threw everything amok was Justice League. And then the fact that they, even though we love the Snyderverse, the Snyder Cut, wouldn't want anything different, wouldn't want it to go away or anything, but them releasing it, them getting into the pressure of the fans to release
Mm-hmm.
that for views, for clicks on their streaming service, that
Did not
also
help
fucked them
either.
over. You should have let it die.
Mm-hmm.
Then you couldn't be thinking, huh, wondering
What
what
could
his
have
version
been?
would be like. Yeah. It's
Because now
better to
there's
think what could have been than to actually know because you have the part of where it was better and now we knew that it was better and that there was a better version out there. That's why the air cut will never see the light of day
no,
because we don't need to know if there's a better version out there.
and now there's the whole Netflix debacle. Everybody keeps protesting and getting it's stupid.
Okay,
Anyway, talk about Dungeons and Dragons, Jacob. What did you think of this movie?
so I'm gonna keep this short and quick. I'm also probably gonna keep John Wick Chapter 4 short and quick and stuff.
These are
Um,
more recent movies, so we won't talk about any spoilers. But these are just our
Yeah,
general
no
thoughts and
spoilers.
opinions.
I'm gonna talk about one spoiler for Dungeons and Dragons. I know we just talked about zero spoilers, but I'm gonna talk about one thing, two things that could be counted as spoilers. Just want to put it out there. Um, just because one of them is really funny and that's gonna get you to see the movie. The other one might, if you're going for a certain person, you might not want to see the movie in theaters. You might want to wait because they're not really in the movie type of thing. I thought it was really funny. I laughed a lot. There's a lot of moments that I'll think back to and be really funny. And if you think the joke that went around with the graveyard was like, oh, that's it, that is not yet. The graveyard scene is like one of the better sequences out of the movie for like joke wise. Um, they got a lot of
Was
good
that my only
cameos.
question? Yes. I'm not talking to you.
They got a lot of cameos and stuff for a lot of those scenes of people that you would only realize if you knew who was wearing the makeup. And so
Mhm.
it's fun to hear their voices and be like, oh my god, I know you. What a weird little role for you to play. The type
Mhm.
of thing. And yeah, no, it leads into something really funny. There's one particular cameo. I was like, what the fuck are you doing in this movie? Like, what in the world made you like, yep, that's what I'm gonna do today. Let's go film this. I don't know. I really liked it. I thought the action was really, really well filmed. I thought each action sequence built upon one another. Especially there's this one sequence that has to deal with the shapeshifter. It's
Mhm.
not called a shapeshifter in the world, but that's what it is. That is so well directed and so cool that it's worth you seeing the entire movie for, even like if you don't like it.
Mhm.
Um, Other reasons why I recommend the movie. About halfway through the film, you get to a point. This has been revealed in the ad campaign, from my understand. I really try to stay away from the ad campaign, so that could be the reason why I didn't know. There are a few dragons in this movie. One of these dragons is super fucking fat. Like, I mean, I don't really know how to describe to you what a fat dragon looks like, but I'd like to know you've never seen one before. And if you think, I know I have, no, you haven't, because I thought I did, and no, you've never seen a pudgy looking fat dragon. I just can remember it walking out of its little cave and its face being so squishy that its actual like snout was like a little hole because it was so bad.
That's awesome.
And like it's running, but it can't really run, so it's just kind of sliding around because its legs can't touch the ground. And like it's too fat to like raise its wings, so it can't fly. It's just like scooching.
That's awesome.
I say this because it's really funny and like that's like one of the main surprises of the movie, so it's not even like that big of a deal, and you'll still find it funny even if you don't even know
How
what
well
I'm
does it
talking
breathe
about.
fire?
It does not really breathe fire very well. It can't do it. There's like one scene where it does it because it really tries a lot, and it can accomplish it. Um, Michelle Rodriguez, her character has a line where she's like, "Do you think it ate everybody?" As they're looking down at all the bones, and then it shows its face, and she's like, "That's one punch-looking dragon," or something like that. And Tyler Jacob does not do it justice, but I promise you will laugh, and it is very funny. Um, and like that sequence alone, once again, those two sequences,
Are worth
it
the
was
movie.
worth the movie. The opening as well. There's like one
Mhm.
moment that has a good payoff in it that I was like, okay, that was also good. Some of the writing was a little basic and
Mhm.
stuff, but also it felt old, like you're watching an older movie.
That's
So honest,
awesome.
in a way, it kind of worked for what they were trying to do.
How was the
Very
owl
plus,
bear?
yeah, that's one of part of that sequence I was talking about. Fucking phenomenal. Sophia Willis got so much to do with that one character. It was amazing. Everybody gets
Yeah.
a scene to shine. Everybody gets a scene to shine. It doesn't matter who it is. They all get a moment, which is really
How's
cool because
Pine?
normally Chris Pine is good. He's not miscast. I wouldn't say that. And Michelle Rodriguez have such great quality with one another that like
Mhm.
they have such good chemistry. You would never believe that they would have good chemistry, but they do, and you
Mhm.
have to believe that they do. Like the whole movie is, if you don't believe
Then
it,
the movie doesn't work.
the movie doesn't work. It doesn't matter who else is running around with them, type of thing. It's just I could just think of a bunch of other people who would probably be a better
Have wired
job.
better.
Yeah, is the thing. He's no little guy
Oh, from Vox.
Vox.
Okay.
Definitely no
Does he
worse than
sing?
that. He does sing. He sings quite
How's the
well. They both
singing?
do. They both do, to the point where I was like, I wonder if that's on an album somewhere because I would listen to that. The score, I really think, from like your standpoint, you're gonna absolutely like fucking adore it. It's very
Yeah,
epic, very much
I'm a
what you
score
want.
nut.
Um, yeah, I think I ran it on like a 3.75
Heck
type of
yeah.
thing. Nothing like I'm not gonna tell you to run to the theater, but it's so well done, so well made that I kind of want a sequel. That I'm like, if you're bored on a Tuesday and you really want to see it, you go right ahead. I think it's definitely worth going to see in theaters because they spent
Hmm.
so much money. The best part of this movie, outside of the few things that I told you, is the world building. The direct world building in this movie is so cool, and that's going to be the thing that I'm going to be sad if we don't get a sequel because I would love to explore more of the world that they created. It felt like Detective Pikachu, where it just
Heck
felt
yeah.
real. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, a little too questy. You understand if you see the movie what I mean by
Hmm.
that. A little too questy in the tropes as well. The only other thing for people who are going to go see it for Rage Agent Page, he only has like 3 scenes in the movie. They're promoting him as a titular character, part of the group. He really is not one. Most of those scenes you have seen in the ad campaign as well. So if that is the
Hmm.
reason why you're going, speaking to the audience, I'd wait till it goes on to like a streaming service or something, or seeing at home because that's really if that's the reason why it's not worth the price of admission because you'll be pleased by everything he has. He's doing
Hmm.
like a rip off Drax is the best way I know how to like talk about it without spoilers. But it's very small that you're just not gonna have enough content for 2 hours and like 14 minutes of your time. Speaking of a long
Speaking
movie,
of fantastic world building,
I don't know if I agree with that statement, but you do you, sweetie.
So can I start this one?
Yes. Yeah, I was waiting for you to.
John Wick Chapter 4 is my favorite movie of the year. Once again, March of the year hits me with the movie I constantly, and a 3-hour one again, nonetheless. I absolutely loved this movie. This is the pinnacle, I think, of where action can go. I think it can go higher, obviously, but I think it definitely. Me and Jacob will just say this together. Paris. You
Yeah.
can't get better than Paris. You really, 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 really can't. It's truly incredible.
You
I
actually get
thought
mad because you wish that Paris is the whole
was
movie.
just
You wish.
the movie.
Yeah.
Also, without saying anything, staircase. Just nuts. Just
Just
nuts.
Paris.
Yep. I thought Hoke Sonata was fantastic. I thought Donnie Yen again, fantastic. I can't wait to see what they do with him down the line if they do anything with him. I thought Bill Skarsgård was fantastic as the villain. And I love the fact that Keanu knows what this movie is now, and that he doesn't talk. He just kills people. And I'm like, good on you, John.
Actually, sorry, not to interrupt your review because you can continue talking. I had a little thing to throw in there. Most of his lines got cut.
Which is just, I get it. It makes sense.
I
He's
just
not
find
there
it
to
funny.
act.
He
He's
didn't
not there
know.
to act. He's there to stunt.
He
But
walked
that's what I
in
wrote.
and walked out of the theater. He was like, most of my lines got cut. He was up on the red carpet. He was like, I had no idea. And someone counted it. He only has like 312 lines out of the entire movie, which is really small for the length of the film.
But the main thing I want to talk about in the movie is the stunts. I really hope this movie pushes the Oscars to have a stunt category in this movie. In the Oscars this year, I really, really, really do, because the stunts in this movie are flipping fantastic. They are so good. Again, staircase. That's all I gotta say. I truly, truly love this movie. I have no problems with this film. I think it runs really well. I think it's smooth. I think it goes from action sequence to action sequence very well. I think the pacing is really nice, and it kept it up. This gets a 5 out of 5. This is I loved this movie. I can't wait to go watch it again.
I was not on the same boat, same wavelength. I would like to mention before I start reviewing John Wick Chapter 4, as I do think it's important, okay? I had watched every John Wick up to this point in like 4 days. Like I watched every one a day type of thing. I don't really recommend that. I actually recommend like 4 weeks. You plan it Friday and you watch 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. You really need time in between because there's a lot of plot holes and a lot of things that don't make sense. World building that does not make sense. If you watch them consecutively, if you don't watch them consecutively, it's really cool. So that's why I said like maybe once a month. I don't know. You gotta put some time in between the films. That's a big part of my problem. My other problem is that I watch a lot of movies that are like John Wick. Sometimes down to a similar story to what John Wick is. And sometimes those movies are better than John Wick. Not to the height of like Paris. I think Paris is by far some of the best action. But I cannot give a movie a 5 for Paris because Paris takes up anywhere between an hour and 10 to 50 minutes of the movie. I'll definitely rewatch Paris. I'll definitely rewatch parts of Osaka as well without giving any spoilers away for either section of those movies, just using broad terms here. I definitely would watch parts of both. I think story-wise, I think Osaka was the more interesting angle. Action-wise, Paris was the more interesting angle type of thing.
So Germany wasn't for you?
Don't get me fucking start. See, that's the problem. Germany, the first part of Germany, horrible. Hate it. Once again, gotta give yourself like a month, maybe a week or something in between, and you'll like Germany. The second part of Germany, the interesting part of Germany, why you would go and see Germany sequence. Zachary knows what I'm talking about. Once they sit down, that's what I'll say for that sequence.
It's so cool.
It's good. It's not great. It definitely could be better for multiple parts of it. Directing wise, I think it could be better. which is really funny because it's the same director who directed Paris, and you just really just can't believe it because like there's just parts where it's like this is not good, and then it's like how is that good? How is that like you are the baseline level for good of action movies? This is where movies need to be. They can't be because it's cost $100 million. You okay, babe? Okay. I don't know. And so yeah, so I just wanted to make that a preference. I think I'm winning at like a 3 for it, like a 3.5. I didn't really care for the story very much. I've never really liked John Wick movies. Zachary can contest to this. They've never been my favorite type of this type of action. Personally, for anybody's out there who's curious which one's my favorite, John Wick Chapter 3 was by far my favorite. Consistently, it worked from beginning to end. There's one bit in the very beginning with an action sequence that I thought was truly unwatchable. Oh no, that's the second one. Not even this one. Never mind. I take it back. Chapter 3, perfect. Chapter 4, not so much.
Halle Berry.
Another thing is I liked everything up until the very, very, very end. I think the ending is extremely fitting for the character. And that's all I'll say on the matter because I don't want to spoil anything here. I just don't know if it really worked for the movie that it presented. Also, the franchise that it presented. If this was like a one movie done, great. I agree. This is perfect. It's 4 movies, and I did the work. And I don't know. I feel cheated. That's all I'll say.
It's the ending of John Wick Chapter 4 is probably the most debated thing about this movie. Like some people love the ending and some people hate the ending. I love the ending.
All right. With that being said, we're done. We went through them all. It took us a little bit of time. With that being said, we have a short game of prove or disprove, and then we'll be good. Zachary, do you want to explain to me what approve or disapprove is?
Sure, Jake. I'll explain to you / the audience. We play a game every podcast called Approve or Disapprove. This is where you approve or disapprove films coming out in the month we're going to be talking about. For this segment, we'll be talking about
Bro?
I'm thinking April, but we're almost through April.
I know it doesn't really work out nicely, but in your defense, you're the only one who's seen something from April, so you can approve or disapprove that movie. Everything else is no one's seen.
That's very, very, very. That's very true. Okay.
And normally we're gonna film this in the beginning of the month. We're gonna be filming another one of these in like 2 weeks for May, so like it will work out normally. It just didn't work out for the first time back. Okay, I promise you, it's been planned out nicely.
Okay.
Let's jump into it. Starting out the month, we have if we approve, thumbs up. If we don't approve, thumbs down. If we mix approve,
if we're met on the thing, it's in the middle.
I honestly have to say we've been doing this for a long time. I'm hoping that the next podcast won't be this long. We'll see how Star Wars Celebration goes. We might not give reasons why we're approving or disapproving. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Go with it.
Okay. I am on a different website. We will eventually jump over to our normal website. We are a few weeks into April, so they're no longer coming soon.
Okay. For me, if Grogu comes up, it's an approve. If you don't see Grogu, it's a disapprove. That's how I'm doing this for me.
No. You have your fun.
I tried. Ow. I tried.
Yeah, that's what you deserve. So, Air.
I want to see this.
Next time. Paint.
I heard this is really bad.
Okay. Super Mario Brothers, the movie. That's the one he's seen, by the way. Renfield. We're having such mixed opinions about April. The Pope's Exorcist. Actually, yeah, really?
Yeah, honestly, I'm curious.
I don't know what that is. We're gonna move on. Evil Dead Rises. Oh, by the way, I'm doing a double feature that day. I think that's the day I'm seeing Super Mario Brothers, going from one extreme to the other.
Oh man, that's so. Can I go with you?
You have to pay for your ticket because we're seeing
That's
it in 3D.
fine.
You're
That's
seeing
fine.
it. Okay, if we go that day, I
Heck
don't know
yeah.
yet.
Okay.
Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. I actually saw the trailer for this, and I really am going to give it a meh. It doesn't look horrible, but it also doesn't look like a
Doesn't
movie
look
I'd want to
great.
pay to go see in theaters. Oh, Chevalier. You probably don't know what this is. It actually looked pretty good, but it's definitely not one I'd pay to go see in theaters once again. Oh, there it is. Bo is afraid. Or Boo, whichever one you want. It's a mixed bag for me, boy. Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. This is about a woman getting her period for the first time and stuff, and I'm sure it's very good, and it looks pretty funny. It's from the director of 17 or
Oh,
something
well,
other lines. Yeah, so like a man, I think is a pretty good response for that one, And see, I don't know what that is, and that's it.
All right.
Prove or disprove? Done. Very fun topic. Normally it will be more fun. We didn't have the fun titles because I had to get rid of the upcoming releases, but I promise you May will be different. And then we have two more things. We were going to talk about movie commentaries. To be fair, Zachary, boom, boom. We only really need to talk about yours.
That's
You
fine.
can talk about both if you want to, but the
We'll
second
save
one
it
will
for
be
a
done.
surprise. We'll save it for
Okay.
a surprise.
So it's just
ladies and gentlemen, people of the jury, people of the internet, I am putting my brother through a living nightmare. My brother had an audible reaction to my choice. It was going to be something else, but we just had to change it. We are watching Mortal Kombat Annihilation as my April Fool's joke movie for April. Jacob, how do you feel?
I think we gotta move on to what we've been watching. I'll go first, just because I don't know. I just chose it, so yep. I'm really out of it. I'm very tired.
We're so close, Jacob. Get us there.
So I have been watching The Walking Dead. Since you last saw me, I've seen 8 seasons. Don't judge me. It's been a while.
That's a lot of dead.
Not enough, to be honest with you. Not enough. I've also watched the entire first season of Yellow Jackets. I've also watched 2 episodes into the second season. Super duper good. If you're into really batshit crazy things, it's fun and a little hormonal. Then I watched. Trying to remember. Hold on. It's there. Oh, the first 7 episode of Lovecraft Country, ironically. I will finish that one on my own, apparently. Then I watched some movies. The one movie I want to talk about is I did watch Barbed Wire. And Barbed Wire hurt because I felt bad for my younger self, as I would definitely be quoting that shit today if I knew it existed. And that sucked. Do you ever find a movie where you're like, God damn it, I didn't like it, but my 14-year-old self would have loved it?
Yeah.
Yeah, how horrible that feeling is, where you're like, damn. Oh, that was that movie. It's bad. I don't recommend. But it also was pretty good. It's weird. Okay, moving on. Then I also recommend a movie. I recommend Kill Bassoon. It is a Netflix movie. I will say the story meanders a lot, and it's about 2 hours and like 13 minutes, but it has some well-paced action in the middle. There's like 4 or 5 big action sequences throughout, and it's Korean, so you know they're well directed. It's almost too well directed, to be honest with you. That's how well directed it was. Not every sequence was, but there's a middle sequence that takes place in a bar. that truly needs to be seen. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest with you, it needs to be seen. The opening is quite shocking because you don't really know what you're watching and what you're like trying to like really understand, and so I think that also does help. And it has a nice story of lesbians in the middle as well, which was very. I wasn't expecting it, so I'm mentioning it here because like maybe we'll get you to watch it because you should. Literally, I don't think I've watched anything else. I'm sure I have. I watched the entire Scream franchise and the entire John Wick franchise. Um, Scream 4 times because I was really addicted there for a minute. John Wick only once. I promised you I didn't. I didn't torture myself too many times. All right, Zachary.
I what have I watched? Mandalorian, obviously.
Oh, me
Um,
too.
Survivor, been fantastic this season, killing it as always. Um, uh, yeah, I don't. I watched a bunch of stand up recently. Bert Kreischer's Razzle Dazzle, fantastic. Jeff Dunham's Me the People on Paramount Plus, fucking sucked. Um, I think James had existential crisis. It's fun. Um, and because of the Ahsoka trailer and all the Star Wars stuff, I watched almost all of Rebels.
That was like a week ago, dude.
Yeah.
Call me. I have problems.
Yeah, I'm all caught up to the point now where if I can watch the final episode of Rebels and literally just jump into Ahsoka.
Okay.
Well, that's it, everybody. Thanks very much for watching. As always, make sure to like, rate, subscribe. We will see you guys in future episodes. Thank you very much for coming back to the podcast. I hope you guys like all the topics, all the shenanigans. We'll see you back from Mortal Kombat Annihilation somewhere down the line. We'll see y'all next time. Jacob's going to be laughing us out of here.